Chapter 119. The second update has arrived, and there is a third update tonight. Thank you, brothers and sisters, for your monthly votes. I already have 10 votes. Can I get 30 votes today? If I can, Dark Mountain will fight to the death for 12,000 votes tomorrow. 12,000 votes may not be much to other people, but to Dark Mountain, it will take 16 hours, or even longer. Come, brothers and sisters, stimulate Dark Mountain. Let Dark Mountain explode once. Only 20 votes left. See you at midnight, it's all up to you. The dazzling, majestic, and terrifying sword light whistled as it surged towards Qianhao. The sword light contained numerous terrifying bolts of lightning that flickered in and out. Once it collided with Qianhao, it would be the moment of its explosion. Break for me! Just when everyone was shocked, Qianhao, whose body was flashing with electric light, was not afraid at all. His palm shook, and a lusterless ring that looked like an ordinary iron appeared in his hand. With a clear shout, the ring shook and suddenly flashed with 7 colored rings of light, which were ever-changing, and covered the oncoming brilliant sword light layer by layer. Spirit treasure? Stupid! Heavenly lightning burning body, explode! Yin Fenghan shouted angrily. The sword in his hand shook, and the terrifying sword light that contained bolts of lightning suddenly exploded. Kachakata. Bolts of lightning as thick as a person instantly shot through the 7-colored ring, wanting to hit Qianhao's body. Good. Qianhao stood in the void and raised the ring with one hand. At this moment, the small ring suddenly expanded dozens of times with a hum sound. An even more dazzling 7-colored light immediately blocked the thunderbolt. The 7-colored light of the ring became even brighter, and with a hiss, it emitted different colored lights that poured into the center of Qianhao's brows. Cut. Boom boom boom. The space between Qianhao and the cold wind was like a purgatory of thunder and lightning, but everything around Qianhao was calm and tranquil. Only the extremely pure energy of the 5 elements was continuously fusing into the space between Qianhao's eyebrows, causing his body to begin to shine with an intense 7-colored light. What spirit treasure is this? It's so powerful. How is this possible? This Qianhao also has a spirit treasure? Oh my god! Waves of exclamations erupted from the spectator stands. Numerous gazes were fixated on Qianhao, who was shining with a 7-colored radiance and standing proudly. They simply could not believe what they were seeing. In their original opinion, Qianhao would definitely be blasted into smithereens by Fenghan's lightning sword. But now, that terrifying lightning sword light was actually unable to harm Qianhao in the slightest. What was even more shocking was that the scene before him seemed to have completely converted the lightning energy of Qianhao into pure energy of the 5 elements through the strange ring in his hand, and then fused it into his own body. Operate the 5 elements? The experts on the rostrum, including the head of the arbitration team, crushed the teacups in their hands in shock. They stood up and stared at this shocking scene. Most people only guessed that Qianhao had fused his opponent's thunderbolt energy into his body. However, as a martial saint expert, the head of the arbitration team was very clear about this. That ordinary-looking ring was definitely a top-tier soul treasure of the martial saint realm. No one knew that such a scene was something that even Qianhao himself did not expect. Originally, when Qianhao obtained the Heaven and Earth Ring, he was only at the martial royal realm. If he wanted to activate the Heaven and Earth Ring to fight, he would need to burn a large number of 5-element spiritual pills to be able to do so. However, after stepping into the martial emperor realm and comprehending the mysteries of yin and yang in the ruins, and cultivating the 9-revolution heavenly sun body, he had refined 30% of the 5-element spiritual roots that he had comprehended but was unable to truly refine. Moreover, he had a higher and deeper understanding of operating the 5 elements. Although he still could not unleash the true power of the Heaven and Earth Ring, he could activate it by himself. Therefore, when faced with the powerful attack of Fenghan's 9 Heavens Thunder Sword, he had no choice but to activate the Heaven and Earth Ring to block it. However, he did not expect that the Heaven and Earth Ring would not disperse the terrifying thunderbolt, but instead swallow it. Others could not sense it, but Qianhao could sense it very clearly. After the 5 elements energy in the Heaven and Earth Ring suddenly swallowed the thunderbolt, the balance was broken. In an instant, it began to operate the 5 elements. Metal, wood, water, fire, and earth were all derived elements. They revolved at a speed of thousands of revolutions in an instant. With each revolution, a trace of the thunderbolt energy would disappear, and the balance of the 5 elements would be restored. The heaven and earth rings swallowed the thunderbolt, but the enhanced 5 elements energy was directly transmitted to Qianhao without leaving a trace behind. The majestic 5 elements energy was like the Yangtze River and Yellow River as it surged into Qianhao's body, stimulating Qianhao's meridians and dantian. Qianhao, who looked like a god standing proudly, was not as relaxed as he appeared to be. In this battle, he had no choice but to integrate most of his attention into refining the 5 elements energy. Qianhao deeply understood that this was caused by the difference in realm. If he was already a martial saint, he would not be in such a predicament. The burning pain made Qianhao's meridians and dantian feel as if they were burning. Fortunately, Qianhao had experienced the tempering of the 9 revolutions heavenly sun technique. His physical body had already reached an unimaginable realm. How is this possible? How is this possible? I want you to die. Yin Fenghan's sharp voice roared angrily. Activating the 9 heavens thunder sword beyond his realm was an extremely exhausting matter. He originally thought that he would definitely be able to kill Qianhao, but now, Qianhao actually used a small ring to block his terrifying sword light. What kind of spirit treasure was that ring, to be so powerful? Frightened, Yin Fenghan knew that if this continued, he would die of exhaustion before he could kill Qianhao. How could he dare to continue like this? With a heart-wrenching roar, Yin Fenghan suddenly activated his mental connection with the 9 heavens thunder sword to the extreme. His energy, essence, qi, and spirit instantly erupted completely. Either you die or I die. One sword. Success or failure would depend on this sword. Because once this sword was released, he would no longer have any battle strength. Boom. The 9 heavens thunder sword condensed all of Yin Fenghan's cultivation, essence, qi, and spirit. Man and sword as one, it was like a divine dragon condensed from thunder. Roaring with the majestic might of heaven, it charged towards Qianhao. Pooh! The violent energy that suddenly increased by several times made Qianhao explosively retreat. He spat out a mouthful of essence blood, but his eyes did not even blink. Becoming even colder and calmer, he suddenly clenched the mysterious yellow ring with both hands and let out a clear roar that resounded through heaven and earth. In an instant, Qianhao also merged all of his essence, qi, and spirit into the mysterious yellow ring. After a short while, Qianhao felt all the energy in his body being sucked out. Boom, boom, boom. A terrifying explosion reverberated throughout the world, blotting out the sky, and a terrifying storm suddenly appeared within a radius of 10,000 zhang. The trees in the distance snapped and rose into the sky. If it were not for the fact that the palace building contained a magic array, it would have collapsed. Boom, boom. Yin Fenghan advanced, Qianhao retreated. Yin Fenghan, who was one with the sword, gripped the sword with both hands. The sword tip was pointed at Qianhao. It had already pierced half a foot into the middle of the mysterious yellow ring. It was only a foot away from Qianhao, who was holding the mysterious yellow ring, and was slowly approaching. Victory and defeat were about to be decided, and one would die and one would be injured. In the depths of the Xuanwu Empire New Show Hall, an old man sat cross-legged, floating in the air. But the strange thing was that there was not the slightest trace of energy around him. It was as if he had merged into heaven and earth, floating with the slight movement of the dust in the air. The old man had white hair and a youthful complexion. His eyes seemed to be closed, and there was a faint smile at the corner of his mouth. His 2 hands were casually placed on his 2 legs. Anyone who saw this scene would feel that the old man was floating in the water, or standing on a cloud. Heaven and earth is me, I am heaven and earth, completely formed by nature. The old man, who was immersed in the mysteries of heaven and earth, suddenly heard a "hoo" sound from the entrance of the hall. The door suddenly opened, and a gust of wind rushed in. The entire hall seemed to tremble violently. With a "so" sound, the old man was blown away by the wind. He was like a grain of air, dancing with the wind. Seeing that the old man was about to hit the wall, the old man suddenly opened his eyes. His white eyebrows wrinkled, and his figure suddenly stopped, remaining motionless. What a large movement! There is such an expert in the Vassal Kingdom's rookie selection competition? The old man's expression was slightly surprised. The moment he finished speaking, he disappeared into thin air from the hall. I never thought that the two of them would have spirit treasures, and they are not bad spirit treasures. Yang Fan, who do you think will win between the two? On the stands, the two youths who had previously commented on Chen Hao had unknowingly arrived at the edge of the stands. Of the two, the Azure Dragon Hall's first seat, the handsome youth, was no longer lazily leaning on the railing like before. Instead, he stood as straight as a sword. His eyes shone brightly as he watched Chen Hao and Yin Fenghan's final attack. He was very clear that whoever couldn't hold on first would be the one to die. The youth called Yang Fan was the skinny and ordinary-looking youth who would disappear if thrown into a crowd. He was the first seat of the White Tiger Hall. Just like his name, if anyone treated him as a real mortal, they would not even know how they died. It's hard to say, but that Chen Hao's chances are higher. Oh? I feel that Yin Fenghan will win. There's still 3 inches left. Let's bet. Sure, the old rules. You've lost for sure. Yang Fan faintly smiled. Yin Fenghan has already lost her rationality. She can't hold on for long. And Chen Hao is still passively defending. More importantly, look at Chen Hao's expression, especially his eyes. From the beginning to the end, he has not lost his cool. My intuition tells me that he is not going all out. So close, yet worlds apart, just watch. Although it's only 3 inches, oh no, it's now 2 inches, I believe that Yin Fenghan will not be able to pierce Chen Hao. You always have a set of theories. Let's wait and see. At most, 2 minutes will be enough to determine the winner. No matter who wins, it has made me a little interested in this rookie competition. Just a little? How much more do you want? Do you think they can beat me? Perhaps not now. However, don't forget that the Empire's rookie competition will only begin in 3 months. Yin Fenghan is nothing but that Chen Hao. Yang Fan narrowed his eyes and shook his head. He continued, he is only a rank 5 martial emperor. Yet, he already possesses such battle power. The space for him to grow. Halfway through his words, Yang Fan's calm expression suddenly revealed a trace of surprise. His small eyes shined as he raised his head and looked to the sky. P.S. Second update. Requesting monthly votes. Recommendation votes. Thank you. Chapter 120. Not at all. Dark Mountain's requirements are too high. Dark Mountain's updates are still stable, and its quality and quantity is guaranteed. It can't be as fierce as the others, so it can only be stable for a long time. Thank you, everyone. Actually, when the previous chapter said that there would be 30 votes today and 4 tomorrow, Dark Mountain was also under great pressure. It forced itself to explode and increase its speed. Now that it obviously can't do it, Dark Mountain is a little more relaxed. Heaving a sigh of relief. Originally, everyone was staring at Chen Hao and Yin Fenghan, who were about to win, but they were interrupted by a milky white belt of light that appeared in the sky. The moment the belt of light appeared, the air tumbled, and the thunderous sky became strangely quiet. The belt of light split into 2 and separated Chen Hao and Yin Fenghan like 2 gentle hands. When they separated, their movements and expressions didn't change at all. They were still in the same state as before. However, their terrifying attacks, which caused the world to tremble, were like stones sinking into the sea when they met the belt of light. They couldn't cause any waves anymore. Everyone's gaze followed the origin of the belt of light, and a sage-like figure appeared in everyone's eyes. He stood on an auspicious cloud with white hair, a white beard, and a white robe. He stood with his hands behind his back and slowly descended from the sky. Riding on clouds. Martial God? The legendary martial god? Countless disciples widened their eyes in shock. Their mouths were wide open, and they couldn't believe what they were seeing. Above Martial Emperor, flying in the sky wasn't really flying. To put it bluntly, it was just a few times faster than running on land. Only when one stepped into the legendary martial god realm could he merge himself with the world, ride the wind, step on the clouds, and travel thousands of miles in an instant. That was the real flying, the real transcendence of the world. Hall Master! On the rostrum, the leader of the arbitration team immediately flew into the sky and bowed from afar. Greetings, Hall Master Mu. Zhao Xingchen and the others also stood up and bowed with their fists clasped together. Their faces were filled with respect from the bottom of their hearts. No need to be so polite. The old man wore a smile on his face as he waved his hand across the sky. Nothing out of the ordinary could be seen from a few hundred zhang away, but Zhao Xingchen and the others could feel a gentle force gently lifting them up. The gentle voice was heard once again. Are these two kids having a group battle? This old man was the Hall Master of Xuanwu Empire's new show hall, the Imperial Protector, and the leader of the three top experts, Mu Qing. None of the people present knew exactly what his cultivation level was. He could only be sure that the person was at least a peak martial god, or even a legendary existence that had surpassed the martial god realm. Yes, Hall Master. Not bad at all. What are your names? The old man asked with a smile as he slowly descended beside Chen Hao and Yin Fenghan, who were bound by the light belts. He waved his hand lightly and the light belts immediately disappeared. Senior, this disciple is Chen Hao from the Jinyuan Kingdom. Chen Hao, who was in shock, immediately calmed down and bowed in a manner that was neither servile nor overbearing. The Jinyuan Kingdom. Mu Qing repeated as if he was talking to himself. As he spoke, his gaze crossed the distance of a few hundred zhang and looked at the spectators' stand where the Jinyuan Kingdom was located. He smiled faintly as if he was greeting someone, nodded, and then withdrew his gaze. No one saw it, but the old man, Huang Qi, snorted coldly and turned his face away. He cursed in a voice that only he could hear, "Impressive my ass if I hadn't. This disciple, the Star Luo Kingdom, Yin Fenghan." Under the old man's invisible pressure, Yin Fenghan actually could not control himself. His originally rooster-like voice became even sharper. Furthermore, it was trembling and his speech was not light. Although he was aware of it, he couldn't avoid it at all. His soft and fair face flushed red. Not bad, not bad. The old man's gaze swept over the two of them, and then intentionally or unintentionally stopped on Chen Hao. After he finished speaking, he looked at the head of the arbitration team and said, "These two little fellows are people of great fortune and are also rare geniuses. They are also ranked highly in our empire's new show hall. Make an exception and let the two of them tie for first place in the group. Let them both advance." "Yes, Hall Master." Mu Qing's figure gradually faded and silently disappeared before everyone's eyes. No one had expected such an outcome. The competition still had to continue, but because of the shocking battle between Chen Hao and Yin Fenghan, as well as the appearance of the Xuanwu Kingdom's Hall Master, the following battles became dull in everyone's eyes. In the fifth group, Dongfang Jian successfully advanced and obtained first place in the group, winning another spot for the Jinyuan Kingdom. Including Chen Hao, there were 2 spots, which was enough to make the Jinyuan Kingdom proud. In the eighth group, Dongfang Jun went all out and obtained victory again. Luck and also strength won the 3rd spot for the Jinyuan Kingdom. Bai Lixi and Zhao Yunlong were expected to fail, but unexpectedly, Chen Hao and Dongfang Jun were the winners. In the 9th and 10th group, the 2 spots were both obtained by the Deqian Kingdom. The Deqian Kingdom was within everyone's expectations, but the weaker Jinyuan Kingdom soared to the sky. After deciding the 11 disciples who were qualified to participate in the new show hall, the head of the arbitration team directly gave out the prizes. The 11 of them each received 100 level 8 spirit herbs, 1,000 level 7 spirit herbs, and 10,000 level 6 spirit herbs. The kingdoms that the 11 of them belonged to received a set of level 8 to level 16 secret techniques. Chen Hao and the rest personally chose a set and had the priority to cultivate it. This was the most important thing for the various kingdoms. Chen Hao, Dongfang Jian, and Dongfang Jun received 3 sets, A total of 29 secret techniques. This made the hall master, Zhao Xingqian, and the 2 vice hall masters overjoyed. As for the kingdoms that didn't receive the qualifications, their faces were gloomy as they returned to their kingdoms. Similarly, Chen Hao and the rest also received the qualifications to temporarily cultivate in the Xuanwu Kingdom's new show hall. By the time Chen Hao and the rest returned to the Jinyuan Kingdom's courtyard, the sky was already completely dark. They suffered heavy losses, but fortunately, they had a bountiful harvest. Zhao Xingqian, the 2 vice hall masters, and Huang Qi called Chen Hao, Dongfang Jian, and Dongfang Jun to the conference hall. In the next 3 months, you will spend your time in the Xuanwu Kingdom and focus on cultivation. Especially Chen Hao, your cultivation base is too low, which restricts your combat power. If you can increase your cultivation by 1 or 2 grades within 3 months, you will definitely have the qualifications to enter the 100 Empire ranking. Dongfang Jian is also a possibility. Dongfang Jun, your combat power is the weakest. It was a coincidence that you were able to obtain a spot this time. Just treat it as a form of training. There's no need to risk your life. Your chances in the next realm will be huge. After everyone sat down, Zhao Xingqian went straight to the point. The 3 sets of level 8 to 16 absolute arts were all personally chosen by you. I think you will like them. For the time being, they will be kept by you. After 3 months, which is before the start of the new show competition, our new show hall will take them back. If you want to cultivate, you can borrow them at any time. At the same time, the set that you choose will also be granted the right to cultivate in your respective family. Of course, the kingdom will also reward your family greatly. The Dongfang family is very clear. Chen Hao, how do you want to reward them? What kind of reward? Chen Hao was slightly surprised. You are not a direct descendant of the Xiao family. It's up to you to decide whether you want to reward the main family or the Xiao family. However, I suggest that the material rewards go to the Xiao family and the honorable rewards go to your family. After all, your parents are ordinary people. It's more appropriate for the Xiao family to take care of it. Let's do as Hall Master says. Chen Hao said straightforwardly, but his brows were slightly furrowed. Speaking of family, Chen Hao thought of Xiao Jihan again. Although Elder Xiao now had the complete longevity secret art, his cultivation would definitely be able to advance rapidly. However, if he did not get rid of Xiao Jihan, it would still be a thorn in his heart, especially since Xiao Jihan also had the complete longevity secret art. Furthermore, Xiao Jihan's character was definitely that of an ambitious and ruthless person. Furthermore, his talent and comprehension were similarly high. If he was still out in the open, Chen Hao would not be afraid at all. However, Chen Hao had no idea where Xiao Jihan had escaped to. Fortunately, there was no need to worry for the time being. Xiao Jihan should not appear for at least 2 or 3 years. Why? Is there any problem? If there is, just say it. With your current status, not to mention the Hall Master, even the king will give you face. If you can obtain the right to enter the 100 Empire ranking, you will directly rise to a transcendent status. Just like the Dongfang family's Dongfang Ting, she's very impressive. Huang Qi said casually when he saw Chen Hao frown. It's nothing, I'm just a little worried about my family. Chen Hao shook his head and said, Chen Hao, what do you mean? Dongfang Jun immediately said unhappily. I, Dongfang Jun, have a grudge with you because of Hellion Wuzi. Beauty, I like you, so I like you. Originally, I wanted to kill you. But now, I admit that I'm not as good as you for the time being. I can still afford to lose. You can fly as high as you want. I, Dongfang Jun, am not stupid enough to use your family to vent my anger. Chen Hao looked at Dongfang Jun speechlessly and said, Did I say you? You have the Dongfang family, so you won't go against the rules of the martial way. It's best not to let's forget about the past. She's just a woman, there are plenty of fish in the sea. Zhao Xingqian, Huang Qi, and the rest looked at Chen Hao and Dongfang Jun strangely. Seeing that the two were no longer arguing, Zhao Xingqian said, Chen Hao, is there a problem with your family's safety? There won't be a problem for the time being, but it's hard to say in 2 or 3 years. If I'm not around, I'm afraid there will really be a problem. Chen Hao thought for a while and said it. After all, a person's strength was limited. His goal was to reach a higher level, so it was impossible for him to protect the Xiao family. If he could borrow strength, he would naturally borrow it. Tell me, what's the specific situation? Don't worry, no matter what the situation is, the Jinyuan kingdom will be your strongest backing. I guarantee that you will strive to reach a higher level without any distractions. Zhao Xingxian said without hesitation. Chen Hao briefly explained Xiao Jihan's situation and said, "It's best if we can find him. An enemy who is hiding in the dark and will definitely do anything is like a fishbone stuck in our throat. It will take time, but as long as he didn't die in the wilderness, we can still find him. It's very obvious that he's missing 4 fingers. Also, tell me about his appearance." Chen Hao responded and did not say anything. Instead, a light flashed in his hand, and he took out the small knife and a piece of wood that his father had given him from his storage ring. Instantly, wood shavings flew everywhere, and Xiao Jihan's appearance appeared in front of everyone's eyes. Huang Qi was still alright, as he already knew that Chen Hao had this unique skill. However, Zhao Xingxian and the others were all dumbfounded, especially when there was no energy fluctuation on Chen Hao's body. He had completely relied on the small knife itself to carve. Moreover, although the time was extremely short, everyone could sense a mysterious aura on Chen Hao's body. After leaving the meeting hall, Chen Hao directly knocked on Helian Wuzi's door. P.S. Looking for a recommendation vote. Thank you. Chapter 121. First update, looking for monthly votes and recommendation votes. Thank you. In the summer night, the moon hung high in the sky and the starry sky shone brightly. The breeze gently caressed, bringing with it a bit of coolness, gently blowing away the sultry summer air. The cruel, bloody and tense competition had temporarily come to an end. Countless geniuses who carried the hopes of their families had fallen here. The real geniuses had risen here, shining with a bright light, just like the stars in the night sky. A graceful figure sat alone in front of the window. Even the loose nightgown couldn't hide the charm and gentleness underneath. Helian Wuzi, who had just come out of the bath, held her cheeks with both hands and stared at the deep starry sky. Those shining stars were bright, distant, and could be seen, but could never be touched. The faint and cold moonlight shone on her beautiful little face. Her jade-like skin was sparkling and sparkling. She, who was all alone, shed the coldness she had in front of others. She lightly pursed her delicate lips, and her thoughts seemed to have drifted to the endless night sky. Under the cold exterior, often a fragile heart was hidden. She was just a young girl who hadn't yet reached the age of 18. Knock, 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 knock. A special knocking sound came, interrupting Helian Wuzi's contemplation. A trace of panic flashed through her beautiful eyes, and her delicate body trembled slightly. After being stunned for a moment, she bit her lips tightly, and the expression on her face once again returned to its original coldness. It's very late. The moment Helian Wuzi opened the door, she raised her face slightly and stared at Chen Hao in front of her. The cold moonlight was just like her cold expression and cold voice. Chen Hao frowned slightly, and his nose couldn't help but twitch slightly. That faint virgin fragrance was refreshing. Looking at Helian Wuzi, who was bathed in the moonlight, his mind was momentarily absent-minded. Time is tight. After being momentarily stunned, Chen Hao forcibly suppressed the charm and gentleness in his heart. He directly pushed away Helian Wuzi's arm that was blocking the door and walked into the room. At the same time, he said, "You forgot what I told you again. Remember next time." What? Close. Although it was the same words, this time, Chen Hao's voice wasn't joking. "Go change, I'll wait for you in the cultivation room." Helian Wuzi's face flushed red again. How could he forget again? Why was it that when he was the only one who came, she would forget and let her guard down? Why was he waiting for him in the cultivation room? With a perturbed mood, after quickly changing her clothes, Helian Wuzi walked into the cultivation room. At this moment, Chen Hao was already sitting cross-legged. The mysterious yellow ring floated quietly in front of him, shining with a faint 7-colored light. You have to go back the day after tomorrow. I can already use part of the heaven and earth ring's power. Sit down. I'll convert the 5 elements spiritual pills and spirit crystals into the purest 5 elements energy through the heaven and earth ring's power. I'll inject some into your dantian. Let me know if you can't take it anymore. Also, carefully sense the mysteries of the 5 elements in the mysterious yellow ring. It should be helpful for you to comprehend the energy of the 5 elements. Chen Hao said calmly. 5 elements spirit pill, spirit crystal. Hearing Chen Hao's words, Helian Wuzi repeated in astonishment. But soon after, she looked towards Chen Hao and said, I don't want it. Yes. I'll rely on my own strength to comprehend it. I don't need your help. Helian Wuzi's beautiful eyes stared at Chen Hao, and she said firmly with a stubborn expression. If I ask you to take it, you must take it. Chen Hao said domineeringly without allowing her to explain. As he spoke, he opened his palms. Suddenly, a majestic suction force made Helian Wuzi unable to resist and came to Chen Hao's side. Pa. The 4 palms were stuck together. Helian Wuzi still wanted to say something, but at this moment, the heaven and earth ring had already emitted a bright 7-colored light that enveloped her. Suddenly, the majestic and pure 5 elements energy poured in from the top of her head. At the same time, a colorless and invisible energy suddenly shone from Chen Hao's forehead and connected with Helian Wuzi's forehead. Focus on nothing. If you want to keep up with my pace, be obedient and don't waste the spirit pill. Chen Hao's voice appeared directly in Helian Wuzi's mind. The domineering Chen Hao didn't explain much. If it was the previous him, he would definitely not do this. But the current him was unable to give up everything. He did what he should do. As for what would happen in the future, he could only let nature take its course. 4 hours later, Helian Wuzi's brows slightly creased. Her body rose and fell violently, as if she was immersed in boundless pain. Chen Hao slowly stood up and deeply gazed at Helian Wuzi's beautiful little face. After a full half a minute, a sword light flashed in his mind and immediately cut off the thing that disturbed his state of mind. He resolutely stepped out of Helian Wuzi's room. It wasn't because of Xia Yuyu. The next day, the sky had just brightened when a palace located in the bustling area of Dragon Lake City's core district became lively and clamorous. Wave after wave of young men and women with powerful auras poured in. This palace occupied an area of several thousand acres. Its aura was vast and grand, and the entire palace was enveloped in a dense mist. It was obvious that there was an extremely powerful restriction. At the entrance of the palace, there was an enormous signboard hanging above the door. Inlaid on the signboard were 5 majestic golden words that were flamboyant and flamboyant. Xuanwu Auction House. Today was the Xuanwu Auction House's most grand auction held every 2 years, and it was born because of the new talent competition. Today, the various provinces and vassal states of the empire's new talent hall would surely rush over to participate in the auction. As long as it was an item that was valued by the true new talent hall disciples and could increase their strength, it would surely cause a great commotion. This was also one of the rewards that the various provinces and vassal states gave to their disciples. As long as it didn't exceed their limits, they would try their best to satisfy it. And Yunfian was the representative sent by the king of Zhenyuan Kingdom, a rich woman who came with a huge amount of wealth. Miss Yun, welcome. These 3 youths are the disciples that advanced in your Zhenyuan Kingdom, right? As expected, they have impressive appearances and are dragons and phoenixes among men. Quickly, please come in. The VIP rooms have been prepared for you. This time, your Zhenyuan Kingdom will amaze the world with a single brilliant feat. When Yunfian brought Chen Hao, Dongfang Jian and Dongfang Jun to the auction house's entrance, an old man with a face full of spring breeze instantly welcomed them with a smile. Obviously, the old man recognized Yunfian. Steward Zhao, you flatter me. Yunfian said with a slight smile. The truth is the truth. The old man cupped his fists and smiled, then turned to a young female attendant behind him and said, These are the Zhenyuan Kingdom's honored guests. Bring them to the VIP seats. Miss Yun, everyone, this way please. I'll bring you over. the young female attendant bowed to the four of them and spoke with an extremely respectful and courteous expression. These were the auction's biggest customers, especially these three youths, who were very likely to be super experts in the future. She had heard that the Jinyuan Kingdom's 3 people had advanced to the true new talent competition last night. The auction house was larger than Chen Hao had imagined, and it was obviously different from the Luyun Chamber of Commerce. In the hall, there were no goods for sale at all. There was only an auction here, and only precious items were qualified to be auctioned here. The luxurious decorations were majestic and didn't appear vulgar at all. When they walked into the enormous auction hall, there were already many people sitting in the ordinary seats. The layout was like a martial arts arena, with steps rising up. In front of the comfortable and luxurious seats were tables carved out of white jade, and exquisite snacks, fruits, and teacups were placed on the tables. In front of the auction stage in the middle, there were semi-enclosed VIP rooms. Under the guidance of the young female attendant, the 4 of them came to a VIP room on the left of the auction stage. The room wasn't big, and the items placed there were no different from ordinary seats. The only advantage was that it was closer to the auction stage. This auction will have many high-grade and special spirit pills, spirit herbs, and precious refining materials. There will also be many high-grade weapons and even low-grade spirit weapons. The 3 of you were able to advance to the new talent competition, but the biggest reward isn't the spirit pills that the Xuanwu Kingdom rewarded you. It's this auction. Of course, our kingdom's power is limited, so we can't give you everything. The limit is 10,000 level 8 spirit pills per person. After the 4 of them sat down, Yunfian slowly said, 10,000 level 8 spirit pills? Chen Hao and Dongfang Jian were a little surprised. When Dongfang Jun saw their expressions, he revealed a hint of pride. Clearly, this guy wasn't surprised by 10,000 level 8 spirit pills. Yesterday, when they received 100 level 8, 1,000 level 7 and 10,000 level 6 spirit pills, Chen Hao was already surprised by the Xuanwu Kingdom's reward. Now, he didn't expect that after being pulled in by Yunfian, it would be such a huge amount of wealth. That was equivalent to 1 million level 6 spirit pills. This is the limit of what the kingdom can do. Not everyone is like you, having a good aunt. Yunfian looked at Dongfang Jun, don't keep talking about my aunt. Even though you're a beauty, it's still not enough. Dongfang Jun immediately looked at Yunfian with dissatisfaction, then looked at Dongfang Jian and said, Dongfang Jian, don't look at me like that. Let me tell you, even though you're a little stronger now, it's only for now. Also, don't keep thinking that it's because my aunt washed my meridians and was reborn that I got lucky. That only accelerated my growth a little. The real deciding factor is still my comprehension. A piece of trash, no matter how much you wash your meridians and rebirth your bones, you're still a piece of trash. At most, you're just a piece of trash with a slightly stronger body. In the past, I didn't want to talk to you about this, but now? What about now? Who asked me to be the weakest now? And to sit in the same boat as you? Otherwise, who the fuck are you with? Dongfang Jian immediately said angrily. But I won't follow your father. With your petty patriarch, let me tell you, Dongfang Jian, have never thought of becoming a patriarch. My aunt is my real target. But ever since I rose up, think about all the dirty things you and your fathers have done. If it's really the same as you, my father, your grandpa, even 100 of you will be smacked to death. Wake up, if it wasn't for the fact that your innate ability is good, I wouldn't have bothered to remind you. Dongfang Jun said arrogantly and domineeringly as he stared at Dongfang Jian. However, the words that he said caused Dongfang Jian's face to turn red and white. Obviously, he did not expect that Dongfang Jun, who was trash in his eyes, would actually say such words. First update. Begging for monthly votes, recommendation votes. Chapter 122. The second update. Requesting monthly votes and recommendation votes. Thank you. There will be a third update tonight. Climb Dark Mountain and work hard, please everyone. Even Chen Hao was slightly surprised. He didn't expect that the arrogant Dongfang Jun, who deserved a beating, would have such a side to him. This also made Chen Hao realize that sometimes hedonistic disciples were not necessarily hedonistic. Alright, the auction is about to start. Later, if you see anything you like, bid for it. If there are too many, you can make up for it yourself. If there are too few, the remaining pills will be given to you. Yunfian glanced at Dongfang Jun and Dongfang Jian, who were staring at each other with red faces and thick necks. After that, she looked at Chen Hao and said softly, "Little junior brother, Master will sponsor you 1,000 rank 8 spirit pills. You can bid according to the minimum of 11,000 rank 8 spirit pills." "No way, Master is sponsoring me?" Chen Hao was slightly shocked. Other than personally inviting him to the new show hall, Fang Yuan had not seen him even once. Like Huang Qi said, Fang Yuan had countless direct disciples. Chen Hao was only one of them. "Hehe, Master informed me yesterday when the communication talisman sent back the news. He said after bringing you in, he did not have time to take care of you before you entered the ruins. Now that you have advanced to such a realm, it can be considered Master's compensation to you. This, thank Master on my behalf." Chen Hao said. "Hehe, also, senior sister will sponsor you 500 rank 8 spirit pills. How will you thank me?" Yunfian whispered into Chen Hao's ear. The fragrance lingered in the air and her charming eyes made Chen Hao dodge to the side, saying, "Can I not ask for your sponsorship?" "What are you afraid of? Senior sister will not ask you to repay me with your body. You only need to take care of senior sister's business in the future. In the future, the trash that you don't need, the goods that you don't like, whatever, can be given to me. Of course, senior sister won't take them for free. The price is fair, and I won't cheat anyone. For example." Yunfian paused for a moment, then whispered into Chen Hao's ear, "You've already comprehended the energy of the 5 elements, so don't waste them like ordinary pills. How about selling them to senior sister? It's long gone, it's not a good boy to lie. If senior sister didn't guess wrongly, that powerful ring of yours should have been obtained from the mysterious yellow treasure vault, right? It's called the mysterious yellow ring? Or the 5 elements ring. That should be a treasure second only to the 5 elements spiritual roots in the mysterious yellow treasury. Moreover, the 5 elements spiritual roots must have been obtained by you, right? Don't deny it. This, not to mention senior sister, even the 2 beside her can guess. Therefore, you should still have a lot of 5 elements spiritual pills and spiritual crystals. There's really nothing else. I used some last night and will use some again tonight. Even though it's useless to me. But little Wu and little Mo still need it. That's what we obtained together. I'm just the person in charge of keeping it." Chen Hao said. "You mean?" Hearing Chen Hao's words, Yunfian was not discouraged. Instead, her charming eyes shone with excitement. She directly held Chen Hao's arm with both hands and said, "You can help little Wu and little Mo comprehend the energy of the 5 elements? Dear junior brother, good junior brother, help senior sister, okay? Then little Qing also help." Cough cough. Chen Hao awkwardly coughed. Originally, the posture of the 2 was already very ambiguous. Now, Yunfian was so excited that she was almost sticking to Chen Hao's body. Letting Chen Hao's arm clearly feel the other party's full and bouncy breasts. Dongfang Jun stared at the 2 of them, full of envy and jealousy. This guy was a lecherous demon. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been interested on the first day Helian Wuzi appeared. But he didn't know that Dongfang Jian was also interested. It was just that Dongfang Jian was a senior disciple and was not in the same hall, so he rarely had the chance to get close. Yun Fei Yen, on the other hand, was a mature and naturally seductive woman, so she was even more attractive to men. It was just that he was clear of Yunfian's identity and didn't dare to act recklessly. Otherwise, he would have used his face as his but to stick to her. Damn, why do all the beauties like this guy? Fuck, isn't it just a little awesome innate talent? How is he more handsome than me? Dongfang Jun glanced at Chen Hao with jealousy and turned his face away, so as to avoid being jealous. Out of sight, out of mind. The 2 of them looked like they were whispering sweet nothings to each other, which made his balls hurt. What made Dongfang Jun slightly surprised was that Dongfang Jian, who was also a lecherous demon, was in a daze at this moment, as if he didn't see Chen Hao and Yunfian being intimate. Just then, four figures appeared in front of the private room. An old man with a powerful aura was leading them, followed by 3 people. It was Yi Mingho from Daoist Kingdom and the other 2 disciples who were promoted to the rookie list. He's really lucky to be able to sit next to our Daoist Kingdom. He's just a pauper. Can he bid for something good just by sitting in this position? It's just a small preliminary test. I want to see how far he can go. He better not meet me, otherwise, our Daoist Kingdom's disciples who died can rest in peace. The other youth and Yi Mingho's overbearing voice floated into the ears of Chen Hao and Yunfian. Their eyes were filled with disdain as they glanced at Chen Hao without any hesitation. Enemies were bound to meet. When Chen Hao and the others met the Daoist Kingdom's disciples, they would definitely kill them if they could. Similarly, when the Daoist Kingdom met the Xinyuan Kingdom, they would definitely kill them. And now, the Xinyuan Kingdom had shocked the world with a single brilliant feat. Even their VIP private room was second only to the Daoist Kingdom on their left. And the Star Luo Kingdom's Yin Fenghan and the others were on Chen Hao's left. The Daoist Kingdom and the Star Luo Kingdom were relatively stronger among the vassal kingdoms. They had a much deeper foundation than the Xinyuan Kingdom. As time passed, more and more people arrived. After receiving Chen Hao's ambiguous answer, Yunfian didn't harp on that question, nor did she have the mood to harp on it. At this moment, the entire auction hall was filled with discussions. They were all discussing the treasures that might appear in this auction. There was quite a bit of useful information. Just as the auction was about to begin, the noisy hall suddenly quietened down and turned into soft discussions. So these are the top 10 super geniuses of the Empire's new show hall. What a valiant aura. Yeah. It said that the geniuses of the various provinces and vassal kingdoms are very strong this time. But now it seems that there's still a huge gap. Of course, the Empire's new show hall will get at least 3 out of the 5 spots on the 100 Empire roll. It's even possible that they'll get all of them. It said that the Vermilion Bird Palace Hall's chief disciple, Anai Jianpain, broke through to Martial Ancestor a month ago. I didn't know if it was true or not, but looking at this aura now, I'm afraid it's true. I heard that too. Anai Jianpain is the chief disciple of one of the 5 halls. Regardless of whether he's advanced to Martial Ancestor or not, he'll definitely get a spot. Second is the Azure Dragon Palace's chief disciple, Li Feng, whose strength is unfathomable. He'll definitely get a spot. As for the others, I'm not too sure. That's because you're ignorant. Don't underestimate the White Tiger Palace's chief disciple, Yang Fan. He's always kept a low profile and doesn't challenge anyone. That's why he's at the bottom of the 5 halls. But in terms of his true strength, I feel that even Li Yifeng can't compare to him. It can't be. What can't be? You definitely don't know that Li Yifeng has a good relationship with Yang Fan in private, right? With Li Yifeng's character, if Yang Fan didn't have enough strength, how could he be his friend? He'd have been trampled to death by him long ago, just like the Black Tortoise and Qilin Palace's chief disciples. The voices of discussion were very soft, but Chen Hao's abnormal hearing was able to capture the most valuable information from the crowd's discussion. In a moment, an old man led 10 young men and women past Chen Hao's private room. The first person walking behind the old man was dressed in snow-white clothes. His figure was tall and straight like a sword. He seemed to be taking a leisurely stroll, but if one were to carefully observe his posture and footsteps, they would realize that every step he took was exactly the same, without the slightest difference. Although he didn't release his aura, he gave off a majestic feeling, like a vast ocean, unfathomable. He had the demeanor of a great grandmaster. A martial ancestor realm expert? Chen Hao's eyes sparkled as he stared at the figure. He then looked at the second and fifth person. With his sharp soul perception and the voice of the treasure-hunting sword spirit, Chen Hao was certain that he had heard the information. Just as Chen Hao was looking at Yang Fan, what surprised Chen Hao was that this ordinary-looking young man with an obscure aura actually glanced at him and smiled faintly at him. With a swoosh, Chen Hao frowned slightly, feeling a little strange. Could it be that he knew him? In the Empire's new show hall, the leader and the top 10 disciples sat in the most central private room. Not long after, a melodious and impassioned zither music drifted over. The auction stage suddenly shone with a resplendent light, and traces of dense qi enveloped the entire auction hall. A mature woman with a myriad of bearings stepped on the zither music and slowly landed in the middle of the auction stage. The zither music abruptly stopped. "This is my idol, the most famous auctioneer in the Xuanwu Empire. She can make buyers crazily fork out money. If the same item is auctioned by her, the price will be raised by at least 30%. Moreover, the buyers will feel that it is worth it." Yunfian said softly to Chen Hao. "Why do I feel that you look very similar to her?" Chen Hao said softly. "How could that be? She is much prettier than me and has more charm." Yunfian said. "In 10 or 15 years, you will be exactly the same as her," Chen Hao said in an extremely confident tone. "What nonsense! I only look a little like her," Yunfian retorted. Chen Hao faintly smiled and didn't say anything else. Carving all things was to capture the trajectory of all things in the world. Only by truly seeing the trajectory of life could one carve any person or object. Yunfian and the woman on the auction stage were a type of evolution of life in his eyes. From the young Yunfian to the older woman, Chen Hao actually couldn't find any flaws. "Welcome everyone to the Xuanwu Auction House. This is the most grand auction held by the Xuanwu Auction House every 2 years. Xianxia is honored to host this auction again. Many of you here are elites on the new talent role, as well as true experts who may advance to the 100 Empire role. Therefore, Xianxia hopes that we will have a chance to work together in the future. P.S. Looking for monthly votes and recommendation votes. There is a third update. Thank you. To be continued." Chapter 123. Third update, looking for monthly votes and recommendation votes. Thank you, everyone. The beautiful auctioneer was just like her name, Xianxia. Her warm voice made people feel comfortable, and her perfect expression was elegant and moving. All right, I believe everyone can't wait any longer. The auction will officially begin. Following Xianxia's voice, a valiant young girl in a tight outfit held a sword that emitted an ancient aura. The scabbard was exquisite and carved with fine runes. Everyone's gaze was immediately attracted to it. Clang! The young girl unsheathed the sword and a red light flashed. A strong murderous aura pervaded the air. This is the first item of this auction, the Scarlet Blood Sword, a low-grade spirit weapon. It was obtained from a certain ruin a year ago. Even after a long time, it still can't conceal its strong murderous aura. It can cut through iron like mud and is incomparably sharp. I believe that everyone has their own value in mind. The starting price is 5,000 grade 8 spirit pills. Each increment must be no less than 100 pills. Xianxia's gaze swept across the crowd as she introduced. At the same time as Xianxia's introduction, the valiant young girl had already begun to wield her sword on the auction stage. The blood-red light flickered and the murderous aura became even stronger. Moreover, the young girl's sword technique was swift, violent, and direct. It clearly contrasted well with the murderous aura of the Scarlet Blood Sword. This caused the hearts of countless people in the auction house to sway. Especially the cultivators with cold and emotionless personalities who had strong murderous auras. Their gazes were burning. However, the people in the ordinary seats were obviously unable to do so. A spirit weapon wasn't something they could afford. Just the starting price alone was enough to make 80% of the people stare. Without a doubt, this was something for the new talent list disciples to compete for. The standard of this auction is so high? The first item is already a low-grade spirit weapon. Chen Hao glanced at Yunfian, who didn't seem to have any reaction, and asked. The first item naturally has to be taken out. This is considered a small finale. How many spirit weapons do you think there are? So it's like this. I was just saying, 100. A cold voice came from one of the VIP rooms. Damn, why is it this kind of spirit weapon? If I take it, won't I scare away all the beauties? Senior Sister Yun, there should be more spirit artifacts behind, right? Dongfang Jun was obviously very envious, but his words made it clear that he was only envious of the spirit tool, and not this kind of spirit tool that was filled with killing intent. At the very least, there would be a dozen or so more. The further it went, the higher the price would be. It would take at least 10,000 level 8 spiritual pills to win the bid. How many spirit pills do you have? Plus the 20,000 points you have? Dongfang Jun said. 6,000. Someone in another private room directly raised the bid to 6,000. Following that, the price continued to rise. Soon, it reached the 10,000 that Yunfian had mentioned. At this moment, only 2 bidders were left. Both of them sounded as if they were determined to win, but now, the bidding had slowed down. It was obvious that they had reached their limits. However, under Shu Ya's bewitching voice, the price still rose bit by bit. Finally, it was won by one of them at the price of 12,000. After the first spirit artifact, just as Yunfei Yen had said, although the items being auctioned were all good, the difference in price between them and a spirit artifact was not small. Pills with special effects, precious refining materials, top-grade treasure artifacts, protective gear, and so on, these things were basically being auctioned by ordinary people. All of the VIP seats were obviously here for the spirit tool. When the 16th item had just been brought to the auction stage by a young female attendant, before the auctioneer, Shu Ya, introduced it, Chen Hao, who had been lacking interest, suddenly felt a strong fluctuation in his mind. Good stuff. Chen Hao, bid for it. The treasure-hunting sword spirit's slightly excited voice sounded. A white jade box was placed on the golden tray. It was 1 square foot in size. The treasure had not appeared yet, but the treasure-hunting sword spirit's abnormal sensing ability already knew what was inside the box. The 16th item, Purple Crystal Jade. Oregon Purple Crystal Jade has the effect of condensing the spirit energy of heaven and earth and calming the heart. It is very rare. The aura of this ore is obviously very likely to contain Purple Crystal Jade. The starting price is 100 level 8 spirit pills. If you are lucky and there really is Purple Crystal Jade, even a small piece will be worth tens or hundreds of times more. If you carve it into a favorite accessory and carry it with you, it will be very useful during cultivation. The short-term effect may not be obvious, but if it is worn by a junior from a young age, the effect will be huge. It is suitable for both warriors and practitioners. I believe everyone is clear about it, so I won't say more. Let's start the auction. Not bad, not bad. Although I don't know if there is Purple Crystal Jade, this item is for old man to try his luck. If there is, he will give it to his granddaughter as a gift. I bid 150. An old man in the ordinary seats suddenly said with great interest. Oh, old man Moo, I also want to try my luck and give it to my granddaughter. Don't blame me. Haha, I bid 180. 200. Another old man immediately called out. This price was simply incomparable to the Scarlet Blood Sword. But those who could bid for spirit weapons were not individuals, but the kingdoms, provinces, and empires behind them. Otherwise, even a top family like Dongfang Jun would have to spend a lot of money to be able to afford it. Although the price of this Purple Crystal Jade ore was only 200, it was not a small number. Otherwise, the Xuanwu Empire's reward for Chen Hao and the others would not only be 100 level 8 spirit pills. Adding the level 7 and level 6 spirit pills, the total value was 300 level 8 spirit pills. How can Purple Crystal Jade be so easy to come by? You are really rich. Junior brother, are you interested? Yunfian suddenly noticed that Chen Hao's gaze was fixed on the Purple Crystal Jade ore and was very eager. She immediately asked in surprise. A little. I like carving and this thing seems to be very suitable. Chen Hao said vaguely and was not in a hurry to bid. Save it. The 10,000 spirit pills given to you are not for you to waste. Don't think that a few hundred is a small number. This is something that a small family can't take out even if they sell all their assets, Yunfian said. 600. At this moment, old man Mu, who had started bidding, offered again and directly tripled the price. He looked as if he was determined to win. Damn it, old man Mu, do you really think there is Purple Crystal Jade here? I'll let you go, take this useless stone home. Another old man who offered 200 said angrily. I have a lot of money, I'm willing. Is there anyone else who wants to bid? Elder Mu is an expert in this field. This makes Xianxia even more convinced that this ore contains purple crystal jade. Xianxia, is that enough? It's 600. No matter how nicely you make it sound, it's just an ore. Purple crystal jade is the origin, and even the gods cannot see through it. It's completely based on luck. I'm so forthright because I'm happy to gamble. Even if there is purple crystal jade, I won't be able to earn much at this price. Old Man Mu said immediately. Elder Mu is right, 600 going once. 601. At this moment, Chen Hao knew that if he didn't bid, it would definitely be won by the old man. Old Man Mu was slightly surprised. What was the young disciple in the VIP seats competing with him for? 602. Before Old Man Mu could speak, a voice as sharp as a rooster's came from the room beside Chen Hao's. That voice was full of provocation. Fuck, are they all crazy? Old Man Mu was depressed. He did feel that this purple crystal jade ore was very likely to contain purple crystal jade. Otherwise, it wouldn't have increased the price to 600 so easily. This was the keen intuition that he had developed after wearing the purple crystal jade for many years. 700. Old Man Mu increased the price. After a short silence, Chen Hao saw that the eunuch next door didn't say anything, so he could only bid again. 800. The eunuch said again. Interesting, 1,000. At this moment, Yi Mingho, who was in the box to the right of Chen Hao, also bid. Fuck, a bunch of little lunatics. Old Man Mu doesn't want to play anymore? Old Man Mu sat down gloomily. Box 6, Disciple of the Great Qian Kingdom, 1,000 going once. Box 7, Jinyuan Kingdom, Box 8, Star Luo Kingdom, don't lose out, 1,000 going twice. The rooster's voice still didn't make a sound. Chen Hao's expression became a little awkward, but he could only bite the bullet and say, 1,100. Junior brother, senior sister doesn't want it anymore. It's not worth it to buy it and give it to senior sister. Let them fight over it, don't bid anymore. Yunfian was still in a daze when the price was almost doubled by Yin Fenghan and Yi Mingho, who were obviously targeting Chen Hao on the left and right. Astute as she was, she immediately lowered the price and said deliberately. As she spoke, she winked at Chen Hao. Oh, then let the two idiots fight over it. I won't bid. Chen Hao also lowered his voice and said. Both of them knew that if they spoke too loudly, they would be discovered by the other party. But if they deliberately lowered their voice, that might not be the case. 1,100, going once, Box 6 and Box 8, bid quickly, 1,200. It's only a little over 1,000 pills, this crown prince doesn't put it in my eyes. The eunuch's ears twitched, but he didn't increase the price. Although he felt that it might be a scam, if Chen Hao really didn't bid, he would be a fool. But Yi Mingho was full of disdain and said in a rich and overbearing manner. It couldn't be helped that the other party had a lot of pills. Who cared if he really didn't bid, this was something that he liked. If he wanted to get it, he had to surpass this crown prince's tolerance. Otherwise, don't even think about it. Hearing Yi Mingho's words, Yunfian immediately frowned, while Chen Hao's eyes flashed with a trace of anger. Bid, it's worth it. As long as you get it, it's definitely worth it. The treasure-hunting sword spirit said again. Don't ask for it. Even if there really is a purple crystal jade, it wouldn't be worth this much. It's better to just buy a small piece of purple crystal jade. Yunfian said in a condensed voice. But Chen Hao shook his head. When Xianxia shouted a second time, he directly bid 1,300. Determined to get it? Interesting, 2,000. When Yi Mingho saw Chen Hao bid again, he was instantly excited and arrogantly shouted, directly raising the price by 700. The entire auction hall was in an uproar. Damn, this is crazy. 2,000 is enough to buy a good piece of purple crystal jade. Although this raw stone looked good, it was completely not worth this price. This was no longer a bid, but a targeted suppression and revenge. P.S. Those who still have monthly votes and recommendation votes, please support Dark Mountain. Thank you very much. The results of my new book require everyone's support. Please. Chapter 124. Can I cast a monthly vote? I only have one poor vote today. Please, everyone. If you don't have a monthly vote, please cast a free recommendation vote for Wuxian. Thank you. Also, thank you to the fallen son of heaven for his 50,000 Qidian coins to be promoted to sect leader of Aotion. Thank you to third young master Wei for his 10,000 Qidian coins to be promoted to branch leader of Aotion. Thank you. What the fuck? Chen Hao, what do you want that rotten stone for? Let that idiot carry it back. The arrogant Dongfang Jun couldn't help but clamor, not bothering to hide his voice. Junior brother, don't ask for it, Yunfian also said. What's the rush? 3,000. To everyone's surprise, Chen Hao's figure actually said very calmly. Do you really think I'm an idiot? 3,000 level 8 spirit pills for a rotten stone, what an idiot. After hearing Chen Hao's words, Yi Mingho secretly speculated that Chen Hao must have deliberately provoked him by directly raising the price by 1,000. As long as he bid, Chen Hao would definitely shrink back. 3,000 spirit pills was not a small sum to him. If he really wanted to buy it to vent his anger, the price would be too high. If Chen Hao bought it at this price, that guy would probably be so angry that he would vomit blood, right? 3,000 going once. Going twice, is there anyone else who wants to bid? Only an idiot would bid, hee. A rooster-like voice sounded. Clearly, Yi Mingho's words made him feel very good. 3,000 going thrice, sold. Congratulations to the disciple of the Zhenyuan Kingdom in Box 7, Chen Hao, right? Please come up to the stage to trade. The smile on Shu Ya's face didn't change at all. Although the price had exceeded her expectations by several times, she had seen many cases of genius disciples deliberately targeting and maliciously raising prices. 3,000 spirit pills? Just like that, go and take it? These are 3 level 8 spirit pill tickets for 1,000 spirit pills. Yunfian said rather angrily. Although she blamed Chen Hao for being immature, she hated Yi Mingho for maliciously raising the price. That's not necessarily true. What surprised Yunfian, Dongfang Jun and Dongfang Jian was that Chen Hao actually smiled slightly and said, "My intuition has always been very accurate, just wait and see that idiot vomit blood." After Chen Hao finished speaking, he took the elixir ticket from Yunfian's hand. Then, he slowly rose into the air and landed on the arena under everyone's sympathetic, pitiful and idiotic gazes. Can I cut it open here? If it's just a rotten rock, I'm too lazy to take it. Chen Hao didn't pay any attention to the gazes of the crowd as he spoke with a faint smile. He handed the pill ticket to the young female attendant as he spoke. Of course. Shu Ya smiled faintly and said, "I believe everyone is as curious as Shu Ya. Little brother Chen Hao, do you need our stone-cutting expert?" "No need," Chen Hao said straightforwardly. "Hey, little brother Chen Hao, this raw stone might really contain purple crystal jade. Old man reminds you, don't damage it. It's better if you give it to the expert. Otherwise, you'll really suffer a huge loss." Old man Mu, who was sitting near the front of the normal branch, reminded loudly. "Thank you for your reminder, senior. I've loved carving since I was young. I can be considered half an expert," Chen Hao said with a faint smile. His handsome face shone with a hint of pride. As he spoke, he took the raw stone from the young female attendant's hand. A cold light appeared in his hand. Chen Hao stared at the raw stone and the aura around him suddenly changed. Old man Mu and many other stone gambling and carving experts present revealed a surprised expression when they sensed Chen Hao's aura. Even Shu Ya and Yunfian were slightly dumbfounded. This kind of aura could only be possessed by a true master of carving. What's there to be surprised about? Dongfang Jian and I have seen Chen Hao's carving skills. He's definitely a top expert. Cough cough, maybe this stone isn't simple? Dongfang Jun said with a glimmer of anticipation in his eyes. You've seen him before? Yunfian asked in surprise. Yesterday, when the hall master and the others called us to talk about something, he showed a little of his skills. He carved a lifelike person in a few seconds. However, the material was wood. Dongfang Jun said. Hiss hiss. At this moment, after staring at the raw stone for nearly half a minute, the knife in Chen Hao's hand moved. There was no fluctuation of energy. There was only the flickering of the knife. However, the hard raw stone in his hand seemed to have turned into tofu. It spun rapidly in Chen Hao's left hand and stone chips flew everywhere. Gradually, faint purple crystal lights began to flash faintly. Ah? There really is purple crystal jade. What a powerful knife technique. Old Man Mu was the first to exclaim. How big can purple crystal jade be? 3,000 8th grade elixirs are enough to buy a few accessories. An idiot will always be an idiot. How dare he embarrass himself on the stage? Yi Mingho said disdainfully. However, before he could finish, he was interrupted by the exclamations of the crowd. But, no way? It's so big. A strong purple crystal light shone at this moment. The raw stone was still spinning rapidly in Chen Hao's hand and the knife light did not stop. In the eyes of the crowd, the outer layer of the raw stone had been completely peeled off. At this moment, as it spun, it looked like an irregular purple crystal jade ball with a diameter of more than half a foot. This. Shuya, Yunfian and the others also widened their eyes in shock. Although they could not see its original appearance clearly, such a volume of purple crystal jade could be made into hundreds of purple crystal jade accessories. If the carving skills were top-notch, how much could it be sold for? This was a luxury item. At this moment, Chen Hao suddenly stopped. The spinning purple crystal jade also appeared clearly in the eyes of the crowd. Instantly, there was a burst of gasps. Yi Mingho and Yin Fenghan's eyeballs almost fell to the ground. Especially Yi Mingho, he even had the urge to vomit blood. How much was this worth? 3,000? Damn it, even 30,000 wouldn't be enough to buy it. But just as the crowd was shocked beyond words, Chen Hao's calm eyes, which were exuding a strange aura, twisted slightly. In an instant, the knife light flashed again. This time, there were no purple crystal jade fragments. But after a moment, the huge purple crystal jade was strangely cut into several oddly shaped and irregular pieces. Such a simple action made Old Man Mu and the other experts cry out in surprise. Chen Hao could peel off the outer layer of the purple crystal jade raw stone like cutting tofu. Although he was powerful, it was not surprising. However, this was purple crystal jade, which was incomparably hard. It required an incomparably sharp treasured knife that could cut through iron as if it were mud. Moreover, it also required energy to slowly carve and sculpt it meticulously. However, Chen Hao was still cutting it like it was tofu. This not only shocked the experts, but also the experts present. Their eyes widened in horror. After cutting it into several pieces, Chen Hao only picked out a medium-sized piece and threw the rest into the storage ring. As for this piece of purple crystal jade, under the saber light of Chen Hao, extremely tiny fragments floated up. The amount of wasted material was absolutely negligible. Gradually, a lifelike figure appeared before everyone's eyes. His feet stepped on auspicious clouds, and he had the demeanor of a transcendent being. The disciples of the Empire's new show hall, as well as all the important figures who had seen this figure, suddenly cried out in surprise. The figure that Chen Hao had carved was Mu Qing, the hall master of the Empire's new show hall, the imperial protector, and the #1 expert of the Empire. His expression and aura were exactly the same. Chief Steward Shuya, this junior admires Senior Mu from the bottom of his heart. So, this junior decided to carve this purple crystal jade for Senior Mu. But I don't dare to take it for myself. So, I presume that there are many admirers of Senior Mu in this place. So, why don't we auction it off, and let the people who truly admire Senior Mu obtain it? Chen Hao gazed at Shuya, and said in a calm manner. Shuya's eyes suddenly lit up. She stared deeply at Chen Hao and said, "Of course you can. Senior Mu Qing is the #1 expert of the Empire. He's a senior that we cultivators all admire. And this sculpture of yours is simply a work of the gods. It actually contains Senior Mu's aura. Just this aura alone gives Shuya a feeling of enlightenment. It's too magical. It's best to start the auction now." I need the pills, Chen Hao said with a faint smile. He held the sculpture with both hands and handed it over to Shuya. No problem. Thank you. After Chen Hao finished speaking, he floated up in front of the stunned crowd. His eyes flashed with a touch of strong disdain, coldness, and arrogance. He glanced at the ashen-faced Yi Mingho and the damned eunuch Yin Fenghan, who were gnashing their teeth. Then he slowly landed in his box. This is a special auction. Shu Ya explained the auction on the spot for everyone and set the starting price. Just based on the volume and quality of this purple crystal jade, its value is enough to reach 2,000 level 8 pure yang pills. However, as everyone knows, purple crystal jade pendants are luxury goods. In addition to the volume and quality, the carving skill is also very important. It has a great collection value. The same purple crystal jade can have several times or even 10 times the price in the hands of different carving masters. And little brother Chen Hao of the Jinyuan Kingdom's carving skill, I think, this is the best that Shuya has ever seen. This point, many of the experts present shouldn't deny it, right? Absolutely. Old Man has seen countless carving masters, but none of them can reach little brother Chen Hao's level. Old Man Mu said excitedly. At the same time, many people responded. Shu Ya smiled and continued. So, according to the calculation of 3 times, the starting price can be set at least 6,000. There's another point that Shu Ya believes is not her illusion. This sculpture does contain Senior Mu's aura, and it feels as if it is one with heaven and earth. Moreover, Senior Mu is a leading figure in the cultivation world of our Xuanwu Empire. Therefore, the starting price is set at 10,000 level 8 elixirs. Each increment must not be less than 1,000. The bidding starts now, and the highest bidder gets it. 11,000. Old Man Mu was the first to call out excitedly. For him, 11,000 yuan was already at the point of bleeding a lot. But he knew that the value of this sculpture could definitely be multiplied several times. This was only a temporary auction, not now. If it was carried out after some publicity, it would definitely be sold at a sky-high price. 15,000. As soon as Old Man Mu's voice fell, a faint voice came from a box near the center of the VIP seats. It was obviously the old man who led the team from the Empire's new show hall. 20,000. Just as everyone was surprised, a voice came from the 3 golden boxes in the center of the VIP seats, which were obviously different from the other VIP seats. Ah, the Shui family, one of the 3 top families in the Empire, has made a move. 20,000. The old man from the Empire's new show hall bid again. 25,000. Before the Shui family bid, another old man's voice came from another golden box. Everyone couldn't help but marvel at the wealth of the top forces. Old Man Mu could only stare and sit down gloomily. Although he knew that he would definitely make a profit, he couldn't afford to sell everything he had. Chen Hao, you're so lucky you're rich. Dong Fangjun looked at Chen Hao in a daze, as if he had completely forgotten the conflict between him and Chen Hao. P.S. Please finish reading and check if you still have any monthly votes or recommendation votes. Please support Wuxian. Thank you. Wuxian will continue to work hard. Please. Chapter 125. Second update, looking for monthly votes and recommendation votes. Thank you very much. Monthly votes for new books are very important to Wuxian. I sincerely hope that my friends who support Proud Heaven can help Wuxian. Thank you. Very quickly, the 3 old men in the golden box frantically raised the price of the statue to 50,000 level 8 spirit pills, refusing to give in to each other. As expected of one of the top 3 clans. It's just a luxury item, and so many spirit pills are enough to buy a decent spirit weapon? Many people in the crowd said enviously. 50,000 spirit pills was enough to defeat all the wealth of many clans present. However, the 3 old men who had their own private boxes in the Xuanwu auction hall were still as calm as ever. They're rich, but it's too wasteful. How many disciples can they cultivate with 50,000 level 8 spirit pills? This thing is good, but it's just for decoration. I really don't understand these rich people. That's because you don't understand. If I had their wealth, I'd definitely bid for it too. What a pity. An old man in the ordinary seats shook his head and sighed. 55,000. The old man in the golden box on the left raised the price again when Shuya was about to call out the third time. This time, he raised the price by 5,000. Brother Yang, it looks like you're determined to get it? The old man in the middle box suddenly said. It's not that I'm determined to get it. This purple crystal jade statue is only worth about 50,000 to 60,000. I think it's worth it, the old man in the golden box on the left said indifferently. This box belonged to one of the top clans in the capital, the Yang clan. Yang Fan, the seemingly ordinary but extremely talented young man, was a disciple of the Yang clan. I think so too. Forget it, I won't compete with you. That young man still has a few purple crystal jades. I'll discuss with him privately and carve one for him. It's not bad. Ha, the old man in the middle box said. Good idea. Why didn't I think of that? Ha. Brother Yang, this is yours, the old man in the right box said with a laugh. Thank you, Brother Li and Brother and I. In the end, the statue was sold for 55,000 spirit pills. After deducting the 2% commission from the auction hall, Chen Hao easily obtained 53,900 level 8 spirit pills. Even Chen Hao was a little dumbfounded. He did not expect such a high price. Even a fraction of the price was more than the cost. What's more, the statue only used one of the pieces. And from the words of the two old men just now, it was obvious that they wanted to find him in private. Wouldn't he be able to earn another fortune? At the same time, the words of the two old men also reminded Old Man Mu and a few others of their own. They all rubbed their hands together, eager to give it a try. Dear junior brother? Yunfian's eyes shone as she watched the young female attendant pass the pill ticket to Chen Hao. She immediately hugged Chen Hao's arm intimately and said with excitement and charm, "Why didn't you tell senior sister earlier that you had this unique skill? It's not a secret. Xiao Wu Mali already knows. Even the two of them know. Then find a small piece of the remaining purple crystal jade and carve a jade pendant. Carve senior sister's appearance on it and sell it to senior sister, okay? It's a little cheaper, senior sister is poor. All right, I'll take the 500 pills you gave me as payment. The condition is that you let go of me first, okay? You're still afraid that senior sister will eat you? Really, senior sister is such a beauty and you still dislike her? Look at Dongfang Jun, his saliva is flowing out. Damn. Dongfang Jun suddenly wiped his mouth and said, I'm not doing this because of you. Chen Hao, 1,000 pills, help me carve one too. Are you dreaming? Chen Hao glared at Dongfang Jun and said, That's right, junior brother doesn't care about what you did to Xiao Wu and Mali. He's already giving you enough face. Yunfian said, Cough cough, I, Dongfang Jun, am this kind of person, bullying the weak and not afraid of the strong. You were so weak before I could trample you to death. Now that you're strong, you can take revenge if you want, I'll take it. Do you think I'm afraid of you? But, anyway, the three of you are fine and haven't formed a life and death feud. I want to write it off. At most, I'll apologize to Helian Wuxi and Mo Yui. You're really a villain, I won't bother with you for the time being. Chen Hao said. Then 1,000 pills, none for you. Chen Hao directly refused. He was also quite speechless towards this Dongfang Jun. Chen Hao was clear that if he, Helian Wuxi and Mo Yui were still as weak as before, it would not be strange at all for them to be suppressed to death by this guy. This kind of person was a typical playboy disciple. But now, seeing that the three of them had risen, especially himself, he directly laid his cards on the table and compromised. And he said it very frankly, you were weak before, so I bullied you. Now that you're strong, I can't bully you, so naturally I won't bully you. Of course, if you want revenge, then come, I'll still accompany you. Firstly, one doesn't hit a smiling person. Secondly, Dongfang Jun was not outwardly complying. Thirdly, if he really wanted revenge, Dongfang Jun was not so easy to provoke, especially with the Dongfang family and Dongfang Ting behind him. Fourthly, although Helian Wuxi and Mo Yui had suffered, they did not really suffer any real harm. Instead, it became a kind of training. After thinking over and over again, Chen Hao still gave up on revenge. Giving up was giving up, but it was obviously impossible to make friends with him. At least, Chen Hao did not have such plans. After the climax of the auction was caused by Chen Hao, the enthusiasm did not decrease in the slightest. The next few auction items were able to incite exciting bids. When it came to the 20th item, it was finally a spiritual weapon. Golden silkworm soft armor. A beautiful girl was wearing it, emitting a faint golden light. It looked elegant and exquisite. The neckline was very high, protecting the girl's slender neck. Her heart and other key parts were covered with mysterious and dense runes. In the center of the runes was an array core that was emitting a powerful aura. It was a combination of a demon beast's inner core and a crystal. As the young girl poured her essence energy into it, that resplendent light instantly rose up, and waves of valiant aura were emitted. Everyone could sense that this young girl was only a martial emperor. But now, just the aura emitted by the soft armor made the martial emperor experts feel that they could not break through its defense. Good stuff, amazing. With this soft armor, how many times can her battle strength increase? Don't think about it, this is prepared for the genius disciples in the VIP box. We can only look and broaden our horizons. It must be a spiritual weapon. Before Xianxia could introduce it, the crowd burst into exclamations and discussions. The genius disciples in the VIP box were also excited. Golden silkworm soft armor, as its name implies, is made of the extremely rare golden silkworm soft armor. After recognizing its master, it can change its size and shape according to one's wishes. The important parts of the armor are made of level 9 monstrous beasts' cores and profound crystals. Only a small amount of energy needs to be poured in to create a powerful defense. It is even more powerful than a rank 9 martial emperor's protective aura. With such a soft armor, how much can one's battle strength increase? It varies from person to person. However, for an opponent with the same battle strength with this armor, one can save a large portion of the energy needed to defend. It can allow one's aura to last longer and become the key to victory. Alright, I believe that the experts here know better than Xianxia. The starting price is 10,000 pills. Each bid must not be less than 100 pills. Begin. As soon as Xianxia's words fell, some of the more powerful kingdoms and provinces began to bid. Even Dongfang Jun joined the ranks. Soon, the price soared to 15,000. Dongfang Jun was still unwilling to give up and continued to bid. Dongfang Jun, you only have 20,000 pills. If you buy this, you won't be able to buy anything else. Yunfian reminded. I know. I never planned to buy an offensive spirit artifact. This defensive spirit artifact is just right. Didn't you hear the introduction just now? I can change the style as I wish. I will definitely look cool wearing it. Offensive spirit artifact. Before the rookie competition starts, my aunt will arrive. Don't say that I have a good aunt, I do. Dongfang Jian said smugly. Especially when he said the word, aunt, his eyes were not only filled with pride, there was also endless worship. 18,000. Who dares to fight with me? Dongfang Jun will definitely take it. Dongfang Jun's voice was always arrogant and despotic. Even though there were as many experts as the clouds and any one of them could be several times stronger than his Dongfang family, this guy was still like this. 19,000. Eunuch Yin Feng Han, who was already unable to endure, bid with a rooster voice filled with disdain. The instant the armor appeared, Yin Feng Han was already excited. Yesterday's battle with Chen Hao was extremely dangerous. At all times, Yin Feng Han was on guard against Chen Hao's flying blade and had always activated his protective aura to its limit. In the end, if not for Mu Qing's appearance to end the match, he would not have been able to obtain victory. Because at that moment he had already reached his limit. An inch of distance, just like Yang Fan had said, was so close yet so far. If he were to meet Chen Hao, he would still not have the slightest chance of winning. But now, with this golden silkworm soft armor, he had 100% chance of winning. 20,000. Dongfang Jun immediately bid, and after he finished, he cursed in a low voice, "Motherfucker, If this damn eunuch really wants to compete with me, I don't have enough pills. Dongfang Jian, can you lend it to me? I'll return it to you when my aunt comes. In any case, you won't be able to buy a spirit artifact with 10,000 pills. If my aunt has an extra one, I'll give you one. Ever since he started bickering with Dongfang Jun at the auction, he had not spoken a single word. Hearing Dongfang Jun's words, Dongfang Jian hesitated for a moment, then looked at Dongfang Jun and said, "You really don't want to compete with me for the patriarch's position? I, Dongfang Jun, am a dragon among men. Sooner or later, I will soar into the 9 heavens just like my aunt. How can the small Zhenyuan kingdom be my, Dongfang Jun's, destination? Are you going to lend it to me? I can lend it to you. Call me big brother." It's not a deal. Don't say that I'm petty. If you were to change places with me, you would definitely be more ruthless than me. Now that we've talked about it, the past will be written off. With me, Dongfang Jian, the Dongfang family will prosper forever. Motherfucker. 23,000. Dongfang Jun cursed as he hurriedly bid when Shuya called out for the second time. He then looked at Dongfang Jian with a face full of unwillingness, and with a voice as soft as a mosquito, he vaguely called out, "Brother." Even with Chen Hao's abnormal hearing, he couldn't hear clearly whether this guy called him brother, scram, or fuck off, but Dongfang Jian smiled proudly and said, "I'll lend it to you." Damn eunuch, come, bring it on. Continue bidding. I, Dongfang Jun, will accompany you to the end. Dongfang Jun immediately said arrogantly. In his complacency, he called out the damn eunuch in front of countless people. Second update. Wuxian will continue to write the third update. Please vote for Wuxian, thank you. Chapter 126. Third update, looking for monthly votes and recommendation votes. Thank you. Fuck your mother. Don't let me meet you in the new talent competition, or else I'll die if I see you. 25,000. Yin Fenghan was so angry that his entire body was trembling. His voice was even more ear-piercing. The entire auction hall could not help but burst into laughter. You don't even have a bird, don't say the word fuck? 26,000. Dongfang Jun's arrogance was limitless as he clamored to bid again. You, 30,000. Do you think I'm afraid of you? 31,000. After Dongfang Jun bid this time, he immediately bitterly looked towards Chen Hao. Feeling that there was no chance, he turned towards Yunfian and said in a low voice, "Senior sister, can I borrow some pills? Meeting this idiot, he must be going all out with me. I promise I'll return it. When my aunt comes, I'll return it with interest. Is it worth it? Although this treasure robe is not bad, it's not worth 30,000. Now it's already over 30,000. Yunfian said. It's worth it. As long as you like it, it's worth it. Lend it to me. Bid. Yunfian slightly hesitated, but still nodded and said. 34,000. After Yin Fenghan bid 33,000, Dongfang Jun said confidently, Continue, I'm so poor that I only have pills left. Just call out your base price. Don't torture everyone's ears. Hearing Dongfang Jun say this, countless people in the auction hall who originally did not have any thoughts, suddenly felt that it was very reasonable. Motherfucker, that voice was indeed too lethal. Base price. Don't waste everyone's time, don't torture us, ha. Instantly, many people started to jeer. Oh. Suddenly, Yin Fenghan let out a sharp and clear cry. It was obvious that he was fuming with anger. No one had ever angered him to this extent. At this moment, his hatred for Dongfang Jun had completely surpassed that of Chen Hao. If it wasn't for the auction house's rule of not using violence, he would have already rushed out. Forcefully suppressing his anger, Yin Fenghan let out a scream. He didn't want the crowd to laugh at him anymore. He coldly called out the starting bid, 40,000. 40,000. Sold. Before Shuya could say anything, many people shouted. In the end, Dongfang Jun bought the treasure robe at a super high price of 40,000 yuan. After going up on stage to receive the treasured robe, he looked in the direction of the cold wind with a smug expression. He dripped his blood essence in front of everyone and put it on. Then, he activated the array of the treasured robe and flew back to his seat majestically. Chen Hao had seen idiots before, but he had never seen an idiot like Dongfang Jun who could vent his anger on his own people and infuriate his enemies to death. It had to be said that Dongfang Jun's play more or less vented some of Chen Hao's anger. At the very least, Dongfang Jun's target was the one who had just attacked him. Chen Hao naturally understood that Dongfang Jun's arrogance, other than his nature, was more or less due to his aunt's influence. As for the 30th item, I believe that everyone has already guessed that it is a special pill from the Frost Jade crystal bottle. Forgive me for not being able to open it for everyone to see because the pill inside is a rare treasure. Every time it is opened, a trace of its medicinal efficacy will be released. This is the 9 Revolutions Monarch pill. When Shuya mentioned the 9 Revolutions Emperor pill, the entire auction hall exploded with a hubbub. 9 Revolutions Emperor pill? There's actually a spiritual medicine of this level for sale? Fuck. 9 Revolutions Emperor pill? I've heard that only martial god level alchemists can refine it. Heavens, as expected of an empire level auction house, it's truly amazing. I'm taking this pill for sure. Countless rank 8 martial emperor level genius disciples in the private rooms had fiery radiance flickering in their eyes as they clenched their fists. Don't be surprised. This is something that our Xuanwu auction house specially prepared for the genius disciples in this year's new talent competition. From rank 8 martial emperor level to rank 9 martial emperor level is the most difficult barrier in the martial emperor realm. Even for genius disciples, it is normal for them to be stuck for 1 or 2 years. I believe that the majority of the disciples that obtain the qualifications for the new talent competition have yet to reach rank 9 martial emperor level, right? With only 3 months' time, they want to break through to rank 9 martial emperor level? The 9 Revolutions Emperor pill has a 50% chance. The starting price is 30,000. Each increment must not be less than 1,000. Let's begin. The appearance of the 9 Revolutions Emperor pill caused an uproar in the auction hall. It was as Shu Ye said, 99% of the disciples that obtained the qualifications for the new talent competition were below rank 8 martial emperor level. Rank 9 martial emperors were extremely rare. Even in the private rooms of the Empire New Talent Hall, other than the 5 palace chiefs, the other 5 disciples all revealed fiery gazes. Even though everyone knew that using medicinal pellets to increase one's cultivation was not as solid as using one's own comprehension to break through the barrier. However, compared to the new talent competition 3 months later, it was undoubtedly a shortcut. If one could use the 9 Revolutions Emperor pill to become a rank 9 martial emperor, it would be possible for them to kill their way into the top 5 and even charge into the 100 empire ranking. Who wouldn't be tempted? However, with the starting price of 30,000, more than half of the genius disciples in the private rooms were killed. The Zhenyuan kingdom was a lower middle state among the 32 vassal states. The reward given to Chen Hao and the other 2 was only 10,000. Only the top 10 vassal states among the 32 vassal states were able to reach 30,000. As for the various provinces, they were a bit weaker when compared to the overall strength of the kingdoms. It would already be pretty good if there were a few that could reach 30,000. The strongest should be the disciples of the Empire New Talent Hall. 35,000. Yi Mingho, who was so enraged by Chen Hao that he vomited 3 liters of blood, was finally unable to contain himself anymore. With his powerful battle power, he was confident that he had the ability to charge into the 100 empire ranking. However, he did not have absolute certainty. Especially when he saw the 10 great experts of the Empire New Talent Hall earlier, his confidence was shaken. Even though he possessed astonishing talent and managed to successfully break through to rank 7 martial emperor last night, he was still uncertain. However, the appearance of the 9 Revolutions Emperor pill caused his blood to boil. With his talent, he had a very high chance of becoming a rank 8 martial emperor in 3 months' time. In that case, with the 9 Revolutions Emperor pill, he might be able to become a rank 9 martial emperor. At that time, who would be able to contend against him? Furthermore, as the Great Qian Kingdom ranked third among the 32 vassal states and possessed the status of crown prince, he possessed wealth that others did not possess. Regardless of the price, he had to obtain the 9 revolutions emperor pill. Hearing Yi Mingho's bid, Chen Hao, who had been calm the entire time, suddenly revealed a bewitching smile. However, he did not bid. 36,000. A voice sounded from the Empire New Talent Hall's private room. 37,000. The voice of another genius disciple sounded from the Empire New Talent Hall's private room. 50,000. Yi Mingho said straightforwardly. Although he did not know how much the Empire New Talent Hall's disciples would be rewarded, 50,000 should be enough. Sure enough, when Yi Mingho raised the bid to 50,000, the Empire New Talent Hall's disciples momentarily grew silent. 50,000. Only when Xianxia called out the first bid did he bid again. Senior sister, how many medicinal pellets do you have left? You want them? I don't. However, I want to bid. I have to know how much to bid, just in case. Generally, I don't hold grudges. If I can't take revenge, there's nothing I can do. I can only remember it. Of course, I'll only bid for what I can, Chen Hao said with a stern voice. Yunfian glared at Chen Hao. Then she said, including yours, 150,000 is the limit. Senior sister, you need to purchase these? Don't worry. If I fail, I'll just carve another 2, Chen Hao said with a light smile. 60,000. Yi Mingho flipped out again and raised the bid by 9,000. 60,000 going once. Is there anyone else bidding? There's only one chance. 60,000 going twice. The Empire New Talent Hall's disciples obviously could not take out more than 60,000. No one else in the auction house bid again. However, just when Xianxia was about to call out the third bid, Chen Hao's voice faintly floated out. 60,000. I knew you would do this. If you have the guts, then bid again. You're just a nouveau riche. 70,000. Yi Mingho's face immediately darkened. Before the auction, he had thought that Chen Hao might want to take revenge. After all, Chen Hao had made a fortune. However, even if he counted, Chen Hao would only have 60,000 medicinal pellets at most. 70,000. However, what Yi Mingho did not expect was that Chen Hao actually said something that was neither painful nor itchy. 80,000. Yi Mingho gritted his teeth and said fiercely, if you have the guts, bid again? 80,000. What answered Yi Mingho was Chen Hao's disdainful voice. No more, no less, only adding 1,000 each time. It was clear that he was going against Yi Mingho. 90,000. This crown prince wants to see how much wealth you have. Don't forget, not being able to take it out on the spot is against the rules of the auction house. Relax. I don't need to use this kind of medicinal pellet to improve myself. It doesn't matter if I throw it away after playing with it. 90,000. Chen Hao's voice was very calm. However, the calmer it was, the angrier Yi Mingho got. If Chen Hao did not stir things up, he would have gotten it for 60,000. However, right now, it was forcefully increased by 30,000. Even he felt incomparably pained. 100,000. If you bid again, this crown prince will give up. Whatever. 101,000. 102,000. Didn't you want to give up? You've reached your limit? A dignified crown prince can't even compare to a nouveau riche like me? 110,000. Chen Hao said in a voice filled with provocation and ridicule. 110,000. Yi Mingho was about to vomit blood. Now that it was his turn to add 1,000, Chen Hao had flipped out. 120,000. 120,000. 150,000. When Chen Hao mentioned 150,000, Yi Mingho was silent for a moment. Only that heavy, teeth-gritting breathing could be heard from next door. This was already the limit that Chen Hao could take out. At the same time, it was also Yi Mingho's limit. Yunfian had already pulled Chen Hao to stop, but Chen Hao refused to listen. Now, seeing that Yi Mingho was silent, Yunfian was also nervous. However, Chen Hao was still as calm as ever. Sure enough, when Xianxia called out a second time, Yi Mingho squeezed out a voice from between his teeth and said, 150,000. What? Congratulations, congratulations. The crown prince is the crown prince. As expected, he is rich and overbearing. This nouveau riche like me really can't compare. I give up. Chen Hao said in high spirits. Be proud. If I meet you on the rookie list, this crown prince will cut you into pieces. Same to you. The auction only ended in the evening. Although many spiritual weapons appeared, Chen Hao didn't make a move. When they were about to leave the auction house, Shuya and close to 10 elders immediately surrounded Chen Hao impatiently. Third update. I really need monthly tickets, recommendation tickets, and subscription support. It's almost the middle of the month. Brothers and sisters, please see if you have any monthly tickets to support Dark Mountain. Please. Dark Mountain will work hard to write Proud Heaven well. Come to vote for recommendation tickets and monthly tickets. Chapter 128. Last night, Dark Mountain was very touched. I would like to thank Feng Xingyu for his 10,000 coins and monthly votes. I would like to thank all my brothers and sisters for their monthly votes, recommendation votes, and support. I want to let Dark Mountain know that there are still many brothers and sisters supporting Dark Mountain and Proud Heaven. Thank you. Right now, the monthly votes are still very tight. I would like to ask all my brothers and sisters who still have monthly votes and recommendation votes to continue supporting Dark Mountain. Fight until the end of the new month. Thank you very much. Little brother Chen Hao, I am the manager of the Ni family. I have a pretty good purple crystal jade. I hope that you can carve it for old man. I guarantee that you will be satisfied with the price. Little brother, I am the manager of the Li family. Little brother, I am from the Mu family. A few old men surrounded Chen Hao, scrambling to be the first to introduce themselves. Their old faces were like blooming chrysanthemums, smiling brilliantly as they pulled Chen Hao incomparably affectionately, wanting to be the first to snatch him to their own clan. Every single one of these old men had an illustrious status and high cultivation. They were all in charge of purchasing in their respective families. The weakest among them was a rank 9 martial emperor. The 3 old men from the 3 top families of the empire were even martial ancestor realm. During the auction of the purple crystal jade sculpture, when the 2 old men said that they wanted to privately invite Chen Hao had anticipated that such a scene would occur. However, he did not expect that there would be so many people who wanted to tear him into pieces. Seniors, you can't fight like this. In 3 months, little brother Chen Hao will participate in the new talent competition. In this period of time, he will definitely need to concentrate on his cultivation. You should know that carving requires inspiration. Only when inspiration bursts forth can one carve a true top-quality item. Shuya has a suggestion. I wonder if the seniors would like to hear it? Shuya rushed to Chen Hao and interrupted the chaotic fight between the old men. Her face was brimming with a confident smile as she spoke. After she finished speaking, she looked at Chen Hao and continued, "Of course, this requires little brother Chen Hao's approval. Manager Shuya, speak." Chen Hao said with a calm expression. It was just a few people's carvings. If Chen Hao really wanted to do it, it wouldn't take much time at all. Furthermore, he could earn a huge sum of money, so why not? But Shu Ya's words were obviously very convincing, making the few old men quiet down. This also made Chen Hao realize Shu Ya's weight. Okay, then Shu Ya will be frank. With little brother Chen Hao's carving skills, it's really rare. According to Shu Ya's understanding, I'm afraid that only the nameless old man who shook the entire eastern continent 100 years ago is better than you. It's a pity that the nameless old man is so elusive that he hasn't appeared for 100 years. Yes. The old man had seen the nameless old man's carving before. It was indeed peerless and unparalleled. According to the records, there is nothing in the world that cannot be carved by the nameless old man's saber. Even a well-tempered and indestructible sword or even a spirit weapon is like tofu under his saber. He can easily carve any runes or patterns. It's a pity that no one knows the real name of the nameless old man, let alone where he is. Old Man Mu said. The nameless old man? When Chen Hao heard Old Man Mu say, "There is nothing in the world that cannot be carved," his eyes flashed with a glimmer of light and his heart trembled fiercely. It gave him a strong feeling that this nameless old man from 100 years ago was very likely to be related to his mysterious father. The carving skills that his father taught him were most likely from the nameless old man. That's right. The nameless old man is the spiritual ancestor of the carving world and is already a mythical figure that countless people believe in. In the world, there are several treasures of the nameless old man, all of which are priceless treasures. It's not just a collection value, but it's also said that the nameless old man's works contain the laws of heaven and have endless magical uses for cultivators. And your carving skills? Xianxia can feel that it's already beyond the scope of an ordinary carving master. So, Xianxia sincerely hopes that you can be the chief carving master of our Xuanwu auction house. With your carving skills, you will definitely bring great benefits to our empire. Manager Xianxia, carving is just my hobby. My ambition is martial arts. Forgive me. Brother Chen Hao, don't worry, wait for Xianxia to finish. Xianxia naturally knows that martial arts is your true pursuit. The chief carving master that Xianxia mentioned has a revered status and will not easily make a move. He won't make a move even once in a year or so. If you don't want to make a move, we won't force you. You are completely free. Moreover, Xianxia guarantees that you can bring great wealth to yourself and make your cultivation smoother. Ahem. Manager Xianxia, I'm afraid this won't work, right? The few of us are still waiting. This method of yours has to be. Seniors, don't worry. Whatever you want to carve and what you want to carve, just talk to my senior sister. Before the rookie competition starts, I will try my best to help you. Each person is limited to one carving. How about it? Chen Hao said. Sure. Old Man Mu and the others immediately said excitedly. As for Manager Xianxia's words, if that's really the case, it's fine. You can also talk to my senior sister about the specifics. This is my senior sister, Yanfian, the manager of our Zhenyuan Kingdom's Luyun Chamber of Commerce. As Chen Hao spoke, he pushed the dazed Yanfian to the front and introduced her to the crowd. Yanfian quickly regained her composure and smiled at the crowd, saying, "It's already late today. How about I come to the auction house tomorrow at noon and talk to Senior Xianxia and the other seniors?" Okay, no problem. The old men hurriedly responded. Okay, see you tomorrow. Xianxia smiled and gently shook Yanfian's hand. After returning to their residence and leaving Dongfang Jun and Dongfang Jian behind, Yanfian, who had been suppressing the excitement in her heart, followed Chen Hao into the room and immediately hugged him. Before Chen Hao could react, she kissed Chen Hao on the cheek and said, "Junior brother, you're too awesome." That's great. Senior sister can't wait to repay you with her body. Ahem. Chen Hao touched the cheek that Yanfian kissed and said, "Senior sister, can you not be so enthusiastic?" Are you shy? Don't think that senior sister is a casual woman. Senior sister is only enthusiastic about the person she likes. What's wrong with your eyes? Senior sister only likes you so far. When I say like, I mean like a big sister to a little brother. Don't misunderstand. Senior sister doesn't want to steal you from Xiaowu. Okay, no more jokes, let's get down to business. If you have any requests, tell senior sister so that when we talk tomorrow, I will have an idea. First, guarantee my absolute freedom. Second, accept all the carvings that those few old men want. The price will be based on the price of today's auction, just a little lower. You will get 5% of all the income. The rest will be given to Xiao family's old Xiao. Third, when you talk to Xianxia, maximize the benefits. I believe that she will give me what I deserve. You should mainly consider the long-term interests of the kingdom. For example, what kind of agreement between the Luyun Chamber of Commerce and Xuanwu Auction House, etc. With me as the bargaining chip, I believe that she will agree. What made Yanfian surprised was that Chen Hao did not even think about it and said it directly to the bottom of her heart. I guarantee that you will be satisfied. Think again. Do you have anything else to add? Yanfian stared at Chen Hao and said after being stunned for a moment. Senior sister. Ask Xianxia to help me gather information about the nameless old man, The more detailed the better. No problem. Junior brother, can we start now? Start what? Seeing Yunfian coming over with an extremely charming smile, Chen Hao hurriedly stepped back and said, "You promised to help me carve the purple thorn jade pendant. We'll talk about it tomorrow. The hall master and Uncle Huang should be back from the imperial palace in a while. You can discuss with them. They will return to the kingdom tomorrow. If you go back by yourself, I'm afraid it will be dangerous. Tonight, I have to help Xiao Mo and Xiao Qing," Yunfian said. "Then let's go to senior sister Fang Qing's place first. Take me there." An hour later, Chen Hao and Yunfian walked out of Fang Qing's cultivation room together. Fang Qing had a strong spiritual force. Although her soul was damaged by using the secret method, Chen Hao still easily injected the spiritual force containing the energy of the 5 elements into her mind through the mysterious yellow ring. Whether she could comprehend it or not depended on herself. The reason why he asked Yunfian to guard her was that Fang Qing was not Helian Wuzi after all. Chen Hao had to be careful. Then, after a full 2 hours, Chen Hao finally came out of Mo Yui's room. Before leaving, he left behind 10,000 pill tickets for rank 8 spirit pills. If Mo Yui used them purely for cultivation, they would be enough for several years. After doing all this, it was already after dawn. When walking out of Mo Yui's room, Chen Hao showed a faint smile and walked slowly to his room. In the late summer night, the cool wind blew gently. Perhaps because of his mood, Chen Hao's footsteps became slower and slower. Finally, he stopped, stood with his hands behind his back, and looked up at the bright and deep starry sky. A full moon hung high in the sky, and the faint, cold moonlight poured on his body. Chen Hao's eyes were like the stars in the night sky, becoming distant and deep. In this life, he still wanted to set foot on the peak and look down on the world. But he would never be the cold-hearted and self-enclosed him again. He had relatives, friends, and a woman who moved his heart. His happiness and glory were shared with others. He was no longer alone. No one could stop his footsteps, but for the people around him, it was necessary to stop for a while. He hoped that they could keep up with his footsteps. So, he did what he thought he should do. The rookie competition was just the beginning. The stars were bright, and if he wanted to stand out, he still had a long way to go. Staring at the moon in the night sky, which was 3 times bigger than the moon on Earth, Chen Hao seemed to see Helian Wuzi's cold and beautiful face under the moonlight. "I understand. Little Mo and I will work hard." Helian Wuzi's implicit but firm words couldn't help but appear in Chen Hao's mind. Creak! The sound of the door opening broke the silence of the night, making Chen Hao come back to his senses and turn his head to look. White as snow, cold as the moon, Helian Wuzi's beautiful figure appeared at the door, staring at Chen Hao. Their gazes intertwined, as if it was the first time they met on the arena. Sparks of electricity were aroused, making Chen Hao and Helian Wuzi's hearts tremble at the same time. P.S. First update. Do you still have monthly tickets and recommendation tickets? Please vote for Wuxian, thank you. Wuxian, have a meal and continue to write the 2nd chapter. Wuxian will fight. Your support is Wuxian's motivation. Please, come to vote for recommendation tickets and monthly tickets. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 129. Second update. Monthly votes are in short supply again. Brothers and sisters, please see if there are any monthly votes left to support Wuxian. Thank you. Why aren't you cultivating? Helian Wuzi and Chen Hao looked at each other for half a minute before it was broken by Chen Hao's voice. Chen Hao frowned slightly, and his tone carried a hint of questioning. I'm leaving tomorrow. I'm giving myself one last day to relax. Helian Wuzi avoided Chen Hao. Her voice was cold, but her slightly messy breathing was like a calm sea with turbulent undercurrents. Immature behavior, Chen Hao said as he slowly walked closer. I'm not even 18 yet. Helian Wuzi bit her lips and couldn't control herself as she said. Still very young. Chen Hao's mouth was still calm and indifferent. When he walked to Helian Wuzi's side, His tone finally softened a little. He said, "Go back to your room, I'll give you a gift." "No, do you know what I'll give you?" "I don't want to know. But I can do it myself. I have already comprehended the wood attribute." Hellion Wuxi stared at Chen Hao. At this moment, her beautiful little face shone with a touch of confidence. She was very clear that Chen Hao's gift to her at this time must be an elixir or one of the 5-element swords. How could she, who was cold on the outside and stubborn on the inside, accept it? Femme fatale, this was Chen Hao's evaluation of her. However, she only wanted to be a femme fatale, not a femme fatale. She was proud and didn't want to drag him down in any way. The light green wood attribute energy shone on Hellion Wuxi's little hand. Even Chen Hao was very surprised at this moment. He already knew that Hellion Wuxi's comprehension was very high. Otherwise, it was absolutely impossible for her to comprehend the ice attribute energy from him after their first fight. However, Chen Hao only thought that it should be because Hellion Wuxi had a super high talent for the water attribute and its derivative attributes. But now, Hellion Wuxi had comprehended the wood attribute in less than a day. This was enough to show that her comprehension talent was no worse than his. Very good. I feel that as long as I fully comprehend the wood attribute and its derivative attributes, I'll be able to comprehend the fire attribute. The profundity of the 5 elements' mutual promotion and suppression, as well as their operation, seems to be a little simple. When Hellion Wuxi saw the indifferent and calm Chen Hao, she finally revealed a trace of astonishment and pleasant surprise. Her heart unexpectedly warmed as she continued to speak. Chen Hao, who was already surprised, was even more shocked when he heard Hellion Wuxi's words. Was it easy to comprehend the 5 elements? There was no need to mention Chen Hao himself. He himself was a freak of nature. However, even if it was him, he would never be able to clearly feel that he would be able to comprehend the other elements after comprehending one element. Moreover, he also felt that he had comprehended the mysteries of the operation of the 5 elements. He dared not say that it was easy to comprehend the 5 elements. If Chen Hao did not obtain the 5-element spiritual root, he was afraid that it would take a very long time for him to comprehend the 5 elements. Don't be surprised. For this little girl to be able to do this, apart from her strong comprehension ability, it's also because of you. At this moment, the treasure-hunting sword spirit strangely appeared in Chen Hao's mind and said, "It has something to do with me?" Chen Hao asked in astonishment. The 2 types of energy, water and ice, originally the 2 of you had the same origin energy. Your water attribute came from her, and her ice attribute came from you. Although you obtained the 5-element spiritual root, it was also obtained by using the 2 types of energy, water and ice, as a primer. This kind of origin aura still exists even after advancing to the realm of the 5-element spiritual root. Therefore, when you imbued the energy of the 5 elements into this little girl, she was able to capture the origin aura that she possessed. That's why she could comprehend it so quickly and clearly know that she could comprehend it. I see. However, there's still something I don't understand. Why did I feel a mutual attraction when I first saw her? I'm not talking about the attraction between men and women. I don't understand what attraction between men and women is. I'm just a weapon spirit. However, according to my speculation, it's very likely that the 2 of you were able to comprehend each other's energy back then because the 2 types of energy were originally of the same origin. In other words, the Shao clan's elemental spirit cave and the Hellion clan's Tianyuan cave should be related. You can help her comprehend it again. The effect will be better, and her advancement will also be faster. This little girl is not bad. She has her own persistence and knows that she won't drag you down. The treasure-hunting sword spirit said. Although the treasure-hunting sword spirit had not awakened in the past, it had always been awake in Chen Hao's mind. From the battle between the 2 souls of Chen Hao to the trial in the Demon Cloud Mountain Range, it had always been there. It was just that Chen Hao did not know about it back then. That's enough. In the future, don't sense it casually. I don't like to be watched by others no matter what I do. Chen Hao said as he burned the bridge after crossing the river. I'm just a weapon spirit, not a human. If you're really able to turn me into a human, that's exactly what I'm looking for. When your strength is strong enough, you'll naturally be able to block me at will. Don't worry, I won't sense things that I shouldn't sense. I still have this little bit of common sense. You can continue. After the treasure-hunting sword spirit finished speaking, it disappeared from Chen Hao's mind. Follow me. Chen Hao took a deep breath and directly pulled Helian Wuzi's soft and seemingly boneless little hand. Not allowing Helian Wuzi to struggle, he walked towards his room. Helian Wuzi was dragged behind by Chen Hao. She tightly bit her lips and stared at Chen Hao's back. An indescribable feeling was born in her heart towards Chen Hao's overbearingness that didn't allow for any explanation. When she was dragged into the cultivation room, the corners of her mouth overflowed with a slightly complacent smile, and then it was quietly concealed. 3 days later, in the Cloud Mountain range that was close to 5,000 kilometers away from Dragon Lake City, the mountain range was continuous and unbroken. The spiritual energy of heaven and earth was denser than Chen Hao imagined, but similarly, there was also the aura of demonic beasts. This was one of the dangerous places of Xuanwu Empire's countless experts and cultivators to gain experience. It didn't see the sun all year round, shrouded in mist and heavy miasma. The name Cloud Mountain Range was derived from this. Chen Hao handled everything in a short 2 days. What should be done was done, and what should be given was also given. Under his overbearing manner, Helian Wuzi's refusal was useless. He overbearingly helped Helian Wuzi circulate the dark yellow ring again, overbearingly gave her enough medicinal pills to use for several years, and overbearingly carved an exquisite purple crystal jade pendant for her. The jade pendant was a clear and cold full moon. Within the full moon, there was a hazy and graceful figure, like a fairy. Helian Wuzi should have liked it very, very much. Anyone who saw it should also like it very, very much. However, Chen Hao just happened to leave 4 bold and vigorous small words on the back of the jade pendant, femme fatale. In the beginning, Helian Wuzi was so angry that she stomped her feet. However, when she brought the purple crystal jade pendant back, the exceptionally intelligent her faintly guessed the reason. Especially when she saw Chen Hao's calm and indifferent appearance when they parted, she was even more certain. He was concealing it. This was the depths of the Cloud Mountain Range. After the Empire's new show hall arranged several dangerous places to gain experience, Chen Hao resolutely chose the most dangerous Cloud Mountain range. In these 3 months, Chen Hao had to use the fastest speed to raise his cultivation level. During the 1.5 years in the ruins and the short rookie ranking preliminaries, he had already been in seclusion for too long. What the current him needed was battle. Hovering between life and death, exciting and boiling the blood in his veins. Only in this way could he break through the fastest. Even for the current Chen Hao, it was extremely difficult for him to comprehend the Emperor-level barrier. In particular, his barrier was different from ordinary people's double barriers. Ever since the first time the intent martial barrier merged, Chen Hao had always been completely consistent on the 2 paths of cultivation. This kind of situation was unprecedented. There was no experience to learn from. Even the long lifespan of the treasure-hunting sword spirit was unable to give him any valuable advice. Flying high in the air amidst the thick clouds, Chen Hao's eyes shone with a bright light. The information about the demonic beasts in the Cloud Mountain range flashed through his mind. Before coming, he had already made sufficient preparations. His perception spread out as he flew quickly, searching for his target. A Wu, peak 6th level demonic beast. The voice of the treasure-hunting sword spirit directly sounded in Chen Hao's mind as the demonic beast howled from afar. You don't need to care about this training. Do what you need to do. We don't lack spiritual medicine for the time being. Unless you find something really important, don't appear. I want to rely on my own strength to increase my strength. With you constantly reminding me, what danger is there? Chen Hao said with a frown. Very well. In that case, you must be careful, said the treasure-hunting sword spirit. Chen Hao also didn't know when the treasure-hunting sword spirit started speaking to him normally. There was no longer a situation where the treasure-hunting sword spirit took advantage of his seniority. Peak 6th level demonic beast. It likely possesses battle power surpassing that of ordinary rank 9 martial emperors. It shouldn't be much weaker than those genius disciples. However, with the addition of a spirit artifact, it will definitely not be enough. It's about time. It will be able to temper me. As Chen Hao approached, the sharp demonic beast howled even louder. Chen Hao also saw the appearance of the demonic beast. Its enormous body resembled that of an elephant. With its demonic aura, the fur all over its body resembled sharp steel needles. Its blood-red eyes were filled with a frightening bloodthirsty aura. On its head was a golden horn that reached the sky. It was like an incomparably sharp sword. Furthermore, it had an enormous, smooth, hairless tail that seemed to be covered with scales and emitted a metallic luster. Dragon-tailed demonic ox? Chen Hao's pupils shrunk slightly. He took a deep breath and suddenly landed on the ground. The dragon-tailed demonic ox had tough skin and thick flesh. With its demonic aura, its fur was as hard as diamond. Ordinary blades and swords would not be able to break through its defense. Its strength was enormous. It possessed the might to topple mountains and overturn seas. The golden horn on its head and its enormous tail were its trump cards. It was most definitely one of the strongest among the level 6 demonic beasts. Even Chen Hao did not expect that he would encounter such a valiant beast in his first battle. Roar! Bang, bang, bang. Right after Chen Hao landed, the dragon-tailed demonic ox let out a frightening roar. Its enormous body immediately surged with demonic aura, causing the mountains to shake and the earth to tremble. With astonishing speed, it charged toward Chen Hao. Before the ox arrived, a demonic wind blew. Chen Hao's eyes were cold as he stood there proudly. Even though the demonic wind blew against his face and his clothes fluttered, he was not afraid in the slightest. He took a step forward. P.S. Are there any more monthly votes? Please vote for Dark Mountain. The pursuers are ferocious, please. Chapter 130. Third update. The distance that had just been widened was once again closed in with a ferocious momentum. There are only a few votes left, but the distance in front is getting farther and farther. Brothers and sisters with monthly votes, please support and vote for Dark Mountain. Please. Star Shaking Fist. The majestic origin energy that had fused with the metal attribute of the 5 elements instantly condensed into a giant azure fist with a hint of gold. It was as fast as a shooting star as it blasted towards the oncoming dragon-tailed demon ox. Roar! The dragon-tailed demon ox roared angrily. It stomped on the ground with its 4 hooves, causing the rocks under its hooves to crumble and swirl in the air. It actually did not dodge. Instead, it straightened its sharp golden horns and ferociously welcomed the attack. Boom! With a loud bang, the fist shadow shattered. The dragon-tailed demon ox's huge body actually only paused for a moment before it once again approached Chen Hao with a howl. At the same time, a thick demonic aura pressed down from the sky. It was as heavy as a mountain, causing Chen Hao to feel as if his body had become 1,000 times heavier in an instant. It seemed as if it was extremely difficult for him to even move his feet. What a strong pressure. Boom. Just as the dragon-tailed demon ox's sharp golden horns were about to hit Chen Hao's body, Chen Hao's pupils contracted. He suddenly snorted coldly. In an instant, his essence chi directly pierced through the terrifying demonic aura pressure like a smoke signal. Demonic aura pressure was an ability that only level 6 demonic beasts possessed. It was not an attack, but it could use this kind of pressure to make it difficult for those of the same or lower level to move. According to Chen Hao's level, the intelligent dragon-tailed demon ox believed that it would definitely be able to kill Chen Hao under its demonic aura pressure. However, it did not expect that this human in front of it, whose level was clearly lower than its own, could easily break through its demonic aura restriction. That rising essence chi and battle intent was incomparably fierce. What made it even more shocked and angry was that this puny human practitioner actually fearlessly did not dodge or dodge. Instead, he slapped at its golden horns with one palm and brazenly punched at its head with the other. Bang bang. With 2 explosive sounds, Chen Hao flew into the air from the terrifying recoil. The dragon-tail demon ox's huge body also rolled twice before it stood up with a howl. It roared towards the sky and suddenly twisted its buttocks. Its huge, long tail covered in scales, with a swoosh, flashed with a crimson light and whipped towards Chen Hao in the air at lightning speed. "Idiot, you're too slow." Swoosh. Two cold lights suddenly shot out from Chen Hao's hands, and with a puff-puff sound, they pierced into the dragon-tail demon ox's blood-red eyes. The moment the tail was about to touch Chen Hao's body, Chen Hao's figure flashed and rose straight up. Then, a majestic and terrifying yuan power suddenly flashed out from Chen Hao's body, bringing with it a faint yellow color. "Get down!" The enraged dragon-tailed demonic ox clearly felt as if a mountain was crashing down on it from the sky. It couldn't dodge even if it wanted to, as the opponent's speed was too fast. At this moment, a trace of fear began to spread in its heart. No matter what, it didn't expect that the human in front of it, who was obviously not at a high level and couldn't possibly break its defense, would be so powerful. Boom! The hair on the dragon-tail demon ox's back, which was as hard as steel needles, was directly broken. Its huge body was ruthlessly pressed to the ground with a bang. Bang bang bang, crack crack crack. Under Chen Hao's feet, the dragon-tail demon ox's internal organs were forcefully squashed. Dull explosive sounds and the sound of bones breaking came from its body. The dragon-tail demon ox didn't even have time to howl before it spat out countless blood clots with internal organs from its bloody mouth. A peak level 6 demonic beast can't even withstand a single blow. Chen Hao shook his head and said, "It seems that the demonic beast's level is divided according to the combat power of an ordinary practitioner. Compared to the genius disciples in the new talent competition, it's really too far away." Sensing that the demonic beast under him had already lost its breath of life, Chen Hao wielded a small knife and easily cut off the golden horn and tail from the demonic beast's body. Then he collected the demonic beast's inner core from its body and stored it in his storage ring. Clap, clap, clap. At this moment, a crisp clap suddenly came from the void, causing Chen Hao to be shocked. "Ha! Chen Hao, what a coincidence. I just came here and I met you. And this is the Chen Hao I told you about." Chen Hao frowned slightly and raised his head to look at the sky. Who else could it be but that idiot Dongfang Jun? Other than Dongfang Jun, there was also the trembling Dongfang Jian who seemed to be very nervous. And in between the two of them, there was a woman with a heavy aura, a cold expression, a proud and aloof expression, a beautiful appearance, and a graceful figure. Just by looking at her appearance, this woman was at most 20 years old. However, the way Dongfang Jun addressed her made Chen Hao clear that this woman's true age was at least 40 years old. The aura around him was restrained, causing Chen Hao to feel as if he was facing a vast ocean, unable to see the depth of his aura. Her. "Chen Hao, this is my aunt." Dongfang Jun trio slowly descended in front of Chen Hao and introduced. "Greetings, senior." Chen Hao's expression was calm as he cupped his fists and said with a bow, "You're little Jun's friend, so calling me aunt will do." Comprehending the power of the 5 elements, and even contains a trace of heaven and earth aura. Little Jun said that you're also a top-notch carving master? For our Zhenyuan kingdom to produce a genius like you, it's indeed hard to come by. Chen Hao was slightly taken aback, not expecting that Dongfang Ting's gaze was actually so sharp, seeing through him with one glance. But Dongfang Ting's eyes and words made Chen Hao feel a trace of strangeness. He could not resist taking a glance at Dongfang Jun and discovered that this guy actually avoided his gaze and had a lewd smile on his face. "Senior is too kind," Chen Hao said. "No need to be humble. Little Jun's personality has never yielded to anyone before. This time's rookie list, as long as you can obtain the qualifications to enter the 100 Empire rankings, no matter what results you obtain in the 100 Empire rankings, I can recommend you to my sect." Dongfang Ting's eyes shone as she stared at the neither servile nor overbearing Chen Hao with a steady aura, secretly surprised in her heart. From Dongfang Jun's mouth, she was already clear about Chen Hao's situation, but seeing it with her own eyes made her even more surprised. This kind of talent and temperament, even among the outer disciples of her sect, could be considered a rare genius. As long as nothing unexpected happened, he absolutely had a very bright future. She originally did not plan on returning so early. But receiving the sect's mission to select a new disciple, she returned to Xuanwu Empire early. This time, not only did she want to help Dongfang Jian, she also had the mission of selecting a genius disciple. Therefore, after learning from Dongfang Jun that Chen Hao was even more powerful than him and Dongfang Jian, she directly brought the two people to chase after him. "Thank you, Senior." Chen Hao thanked her again. "Chen Hao, we can be considered brothers. Aunt asked you to call her Aunt, so you should call her Aunt." "Senior is too distant. I won't hide it from you. Originally, Brother Cheap and I were going to cultivate in seclusion. Who would have thought that my aunt would come early? After Aunt found out about you, we chased after you. How about it, come with us? With my aunt here, we can enter the depths of the Cloud Mountain Range. Don't be embarrassed. With your own strength, at most, you will only be in the periphery. I can easily kill this kind of stupid demonic beast. Let's go together. Within a certain range, we will cultivate separately. Unless it is a true life and death situation, my aunt will not make a move." Dongfang Jian looked at Chen Hao's gaze and said frankly. Chen Hao hesitated for a moment, but still nodded. After killing the dragon-tail demon ox, a peak level 6 demonic beast, Chen Hao had already realized that unless he entered the depths of the Cloud Mountain Range, there really wasn't much use in training. However, the depths of the Cloud Mountain Range were truly dangerous places. Without the protection of a top expert, even he didn't dare to easily enter. This was because in the core of the mountain range, other than the dense concentration of level 6 demonic beasts, which was very suitable for martial emperor experts to train, level 7 or even level 8 demonic beasts would often emerge from the core. Level 7 was the martial ancestor realm, and level 8 was the martial saint realm. No matter how powerful Chen Hao was, he wasn't confident that he could fight against martial ancestor realm and martial saint realm. Even if it was an inferior grade martial ancestor, Chen Hao would be in great danger, not to mention the demonic beasts that appeared in groups in the depths. The four of them turned into 4 streaks of light and disappeared into the horizon. They wanted to set off towards the depths of the Cloud Mountain Range. After flying for a distance, Dongfang Ting retracted her aura and disappeared from the 3 of them. Chen Hao and the other 2 also split into 3 paths, separated by a few thousand meters, and entered the Cloud Mountain Range. Not long after Chen Hao and the others left, 3 figures flew towards the core of the Cloud Mountain Range as fast as lightning from a few hundred kilometers away. "Crown Prince, are we really going to enter the core area? Are you afraid?" "Bit. Crown Prince, your cultivation is extremely high. It is not something that the 2 of us can compare to. If we were to encounter level 7 or 8 demonic beasts, just stay by my side. I only need a few life and death battles to break through to rank 8 Martial Emperor. We do not need to go too deep. This Crown Prince only wants to find a few level 7 demonic beasts to temper myself. After breaking through, we will return. With the 9 Revolution Monarch pellet, this Crown Prince will definitely be able to break through to rank 9 Martial Emperor before the start of the new talent competition. Even if we are to encounter powerful demonic beasts, with this Crown Prince's speed, bringing you all away will not be a problem. Let's go." The 2 of them answered. Although they appeared to be very respectful, they were feeling very displeased in their hearts. They knew Yi Mingho's temperament very well. If they were to truly encounter danger, it would already be great if he didn't have to use them as scapegoats. It was simply impossible for him to risk his life to save people. However, they did not dare to disobey the arrogant and overbearing Yi Mingho. "Let's go deeper. I must become a rank 9 Martial Emperor in 3 months' time." In another location, after killing several level 6 demonic beasts without any challenge, a sharp voice of a rooster spoke to another youngster. It was the Star Luo Kingdom's Yin Fenghan and the other genius disciple who had obtained the qualifications. "I don't want to die yet. I'll stay here and temper myself. After all, I have no hope of entering the 100 Empire rankings. If you want to go, go by yourself? Humph, spineless. I'll go by myself. Yin Fenghan's gaze was fierce and fiery. He turned into a ray of light and flew toward the depths of the cloud mist mountain range. Let's go our separate ways. If you succeed, immediately return to the new show hall to be recognized. There's no proof for your words. Rest assured, the one who will lose will definitely be you. Be careful, don't lose your life here before breaking through to martial ancestor realm. What kind of joke is this? Li Feng, come with the wind and leave with the wind. As long as it's not a level 8 demonic beast, how could it be difficult for me? Yang Fan, actually, I truly wish to have a hearty battle with you to determine who is stronger. A gamble like this is truly meaningless. Hearing Li Feng's words, Yang Fan shook his head. He narrowed his ordinary eyes and said, wait until you can defeat an eye giant pain. You also know that when my sword is unsheathed, it will definitely be stained with blood. Motherfucker, can you not be so arrogant all the time? Goodbye. After Li Yifeng finished speaking, he turned into a ray of light and flew toward the depths of the cloud mist mountain range. Yang Fan lightly smiled. After seeing Li Yifeng disappear, his body slowly dissipated. It was as if he had merged with the wind and there was no movement at all. P.S. Are there any more monthly votes? It's about to explode. Everyone, please support Dark Mountain. Please. Chapter 131. Other than Qin Hao's trio, Yi Mingho, Yin Fenghan, Yang Fan, and Li Feng, the top 10 experts of the Empire's new show hall, as well as many genius disciples aiming for the 100 Empire rankings, had all chosen the most dangerous cloud mountain range. As he went deeper and deeper, Chen Hao's speed became slower and slower. What entered his eyes was a vast expanse of grayness and fog. His vision, perception, and hearing were all greatly restricted. Even with Chen Hao's abnormal physical talent, he could only sense the aura within 100 feet radius. Accompanied by the occasional roar of the demonic beasts, the aura of the demonic beasts in the area became more and more intense. The desire to battle hidden in the depths of Chen Hao's heart also burned fiercely. As he went deeper and deeper, Chen Hao frowned slightly. The feeling of being stared at by countless pairs of eyes appeared in his heart, causing Chen Hao's footsteps to become slower and slower. However, he did not restrain his aura. Suddenly, two blood-red lights pierced through the thick fog and appeared in front of Chen Hao's eyes, just as he had expected. King Kong Demon Ape? When Chen Hao saw the demonic beast that was more than 10 feet tall and resembled a giant, his pupils shrank and flashed with excitement. No wonder, King Kong Demon Ape, a Class 6 demonic beast, liked to live in groups and had a human-like figure. Its body was covered in golden fur, and it had extraordinary strength and astonishing speed. It was the overlord race of Class 6 demonic beasts. The most terrifying thing was that this demonic beast had extremely high intelligence. Usually, there were dozens or even hundreds of them living in groups. Furthermore, they had a King Kong Demon Ape. Under normal circumstances, the King Kong Demon Ape was at least a Class 6 peak demonic beast. Very few could reach Class 7. Taking a deep breath, Chen Hao's figure stood still as his gaze quickly swept the surroundings. Sure enough, numerous scarlet lantern-like eyes silently passed through the thick mist and started to surround him from afar. A demonic ape that was more than 6 feet tall and emitted a terrifying demonic aura appeared in Chen Hao's eyes. It was clearly the king of this group of King Kong demon apes. Silence. Other than the thick and unconcealable demonic aura, there was no other sound. But the more it was like this, the more it showed how terrifyingly intelligent these King Kong demon apes were. What surprised Chen Hao even more was that the King Kong demonic ape king was actually holding a large sword that exuded a sharp aura. Its scarlet eyes flashed with a hint of human greed as it stared at the storage ring on Chen Hao's finger. His stalwart body was as straight as a sword, and there was something between his legs that was no different from a human's. If it wasn't for the golden fur all over his body, he would be no different from a human. It was just that his body was a little too tall. Chen Hao's calmness caused the Vajra demon ape king's ugly face to frown. This little human's aura clearly wasn't strong, so how could he be so calm after being surrounded? He didn't even have the intention to run? Could it be that he was not afraid of him at all? Chi! The King Kong demonic ape king suddenly opened its mouth, revealing fangs that were obviously sharper than a human's. It let out a sharp cry, and at the same time, the great sword in its hand made a cool attacking posture as if it was issuing an order. Xianxia, bang bang bang. In an instant, the 4 Vajra demon apes around Chen Hao bared their sharp fangs at the same time and let out a shrill cry. A terrifying and majestic demonic aura immediately spread out. Pung pung peng, the sound of heavy footsteps could be heard. The hard rocky ground was instantly filled with sand and dust, and 4 huge bodies pounced towards Chen Hao at lightning speed. Go back! Chen Hao roared, exploding like a thunder. Without the slightest fear, he violently punched out, and the rolling fusion energy erupted like a mountain or an ocean. Bang 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 bang. The terrifying and oppressive sounds of fists and feet colliding rang out. Chen Hao had shaken the 4 King Kong demonic apes back, but what surprised Chen Hao was that after the 4 King Kong demonic apes rolled on the ground, they didn't stop at all. They screamed and pounced on Chen Hao even more fiercely, as if they wanted to tear him apart. As expected of the King Kong demonic apes, what a strong physical body. In his surprise, Chen Hao became even more excited. With a long roar, the energy around his body surged and circulated. Chen Hao didn't plan to use any weapons at all. He wanted to hone himself and really control the operation of the 5 elements in a real battle, so that he could exert this attribute energy to the extreme. These dozens of King Kong demonic apes with strong physical bodies and astonishing speed were simply the best targets for him to hone himself. Bang bang bang. Chen Hao's fists were heavy, his palms were fluttering, and his legs were like whips. His entire body had become a sharp weapon. At times, it was like rolling waves, one after another, overlapping with another. At times, it was incomparably sharp and piercing through stone. At times, it was heavy and majestic like Mount Tai. At times, it was light and ethereal, changing unpredictably. In a short 2 minutes, the 4 King Kong demonic apes were completely suppressed by Chen Hao and became no threat at all. Chen Hao looked like he was handling a butcher's cleaver with ease. Seeing that the 4 King Kong demonic apes couldn't do anything to Chen Hao, the King Kong demonic ape immediately hissed several times, and in an instant, nearly 10 more powerful King Kong demonic apes joined the battle. Bang bang bang, terrifying explosions constantly sounded. Chen Hao was besieged by the King Kong demonic apes that suddenly increased by 3 times. At first, he felt that he was overwhelmed, because the King Kong demonic apes' attacks weren't scattered, but rather coordinated with each other. Moreover, their speed was astonishing, causing Chen Hao to feel an enormous pressure. But as time passed, Chen Hao's mind became clear, and his entire person, body and mind, was completely immersed in this battle to his heart's content. Yuan energy and mental strength fused together, and the 5 elements derived energy constantly flashed on Chen Hao's body, changing unpredictably. This made Chen Hao braver and braver as he fought. Above the thick fog, a graceful figure flew through the air. Her entire aura seemed to have merged with heaven and earth, and her eyes shone with a fizzing light. A strange, invisible, and untouchable fluctuation, like tentacles, penetrated the thick fog that could restrict a cultivator's senses. Not a single movement within 100 miles could escape her senses. At this moment, her eyes were focused on the thick fog below her, as if she could see through it. With a faint trace of surprise, she murmured, "This Chen Hao's battle talent is actually so strong. Not afraid in the face of danger, calm and collected, and always able to launch the most suitable attack at the most critical moment, turning something rotten into something miraculous. The only flaw is that his realm is too low. However, he's not even 15 years old, and has only started cultivating for 3 years. His comprehension is definitely not bad." This woman was Dongfang Ting. At this moment, Chen Hao, Dongfang Jun, and Dongfang Jian were all within her range of perception. Furthermore, the majority of her attention was focused on Chen Hao. Originally, When she saw Chen Hao being surrounded by the group of King Kong demonic apes, she thought that Chen Hao would run away. However, she did not expect that Chen Hao was not afraid in the slightest. More shockingly, even now, he was not at a disadvantage. This King Kong demonic ape is clearly a level 7 monstrous beast. Although it's a low-level monstrous beast, it still has the strength of an ordinary low-level martial ancestor realm expert. If Chen Hao can defeat it, it's still not enough. At the very least, his cultivation must increase to rank 8 martial emperor in order to defeat those people from the empire's new show hall. Dongfang Ting shook her head and said, her cultivation far surpassed that of the secular world. In this period of time, she had already scouted the surrounding 1,000 miles. She sensed several super geniuses that were far above Chen Hao, Dongfang Jun, and Dongfang Jian. One of them was clearly a martial ancestor realm expert. According to Dongfang Ting's understanding, he should be the head disciple of the empire's new show hall, Ni Jianpain. He had already entered the depths of the Cloud Mist Mountain range. There were also 2 extremely powerful auras. They were clearly half a step into the martial ancestor realm. Especially one of them. He could kill monstrous beasts with a single strike. His battle power was extremely frightening. Even if he were to face Ni Jianpain, he would not lose out in the slightest. These 2 people were naturally Li Yifeng and Yang Fan. In 3 months, they had a very high chance of becoming martial ancestor realm experts. If nothing unexpected happened, these 3 people would occupy 3 spots. Other than these 3 people, Dongfang Ting also discovered several existences that were not inferior to Chen Hao, Dongfang Jian, and Dongfang Jian. Even she could not be certain as to who would win the new talent rankings and obtain the qualifications to participate in the 100 Empire rankings. Dongfang Jian definitely did not have any hope. Although she had also given him a spirit artifact sword, it was clearly much weaker among the many genius disciples. As for Dongfang Jun, although she had given him an even stronger spirit artifact sword, he still did not have much hope. The difference in cultivation and battle power was too great. This time, she could only treat it as tempering. However, there would be no problem the year after next. Dongfang Jun's comprehension was far superior to most geniuses. It would not be strange for him to become a martial ancestor the year after next. It would depend on his cultivation grade. Only Chen Hao, who had comprehended the operation of the 5 elements and possessed a trace of heaven and earth aura, had a glimmer of hope. Most importantly, it would depend on what cultivation level he could reach in these 3 months. The King Kong demonic ape is about to attack. At this moment, Dongfang Ting's eyes flashed. Her body swayed as she approached Chen Hao. She was prepared to attack when Chen Hao was in a life-or-death situation where he could not resist. Good timing. Chen Hao, who was covered in blood, had finally waited for the King Kong demonic ape to attack. At this moment, he had already smashed the heads of several King Kong demonic apes. More than 10 of them had collapsed with serious injuries and were no longer able to fight. The King Kong demonic ape, who was at the martial ancestor realm, could not help but attack. Roar! Dozens of meters away, the King Kong demonic ape let out a furious roar. Compared to its huge body, it swung its sword, which was extremely short and small. Rumble! An intense and terrifying sword radiance slashed toward Chen Hao as fast as lightning with a loud rumble. The hard rock ground between the 2 of them suddenly split open. Wherever the sword light passed, dust billowed and debris swirled in the air. A gully several feet deep spread towards Chen Hao with the sword light at an astonishing speed. Clang! Feeling that terrifying power, Chen Hao's expression changed slightly. He didn't dare to be careless in the slightest. A resplendent golden light suddenly appeared in Chen Hao's hand. He drew his sword, attacked, all in one breath. Rumble! The golden sword of the 5 elements sword was extremely sharp. The brilliant sword radiance met the King Kong demonic ape's terrifying sword radiance. Chapter 132. When he woke up in the morning, he couldn't wait to open the book. He wanted to see if the extra monthly votes had been taken. However, the moment he saw the page, he felt so depressed that he vomited 3 liters of blood. At that time, there were only 2 monthly votes, but there were 5 evaluation votes. Furthermore, they were the black votes with the lowest score. 9. 9 points directly became 9. 4 points. He looked at the book review. It was a reader who saw that Xiao Jihan died, but the president didn't notice. He thought that the book was stupid and voted for it. It was indescribable how he felt. I only want to say, did you see the end? Did you see the reason why Xiao Jihan was able to successfully blow himself up? Even if my plot was really stupid, was there a need to do that? Writing books was Dark Mountain's hobby and also his job. Was it easy for him to earn a living? Sitting in front of the computer for nearly 16 hours a day without moving, his back aching, and he felt like vomiting every night when he touched the keyboard. Was it easy? Dark Mountain wasn't complaining. No one forced me to work hard. I could also write less or stop. I also wanted to relax. If I had time off, I could accompany my wife and daughter, accompany my parents, and train my body. I didn't want to smoke more than 2 packs of cigarettes a day, sit still, and exhaust my life. But this was my job. It was the source of all my income. If I didn't work hard, what would I eat? What would I drink? What would I use to support my family? Dark Mountain wasn't a teenager in his 20s. He was already over 30 years old and had parents, a wife, and a daughter. As a man, I was the pillar of the family. It was my responsibility to support my family. The more chapters one wrote, the more royalties I could get. So I worked hard. My speed was less than 800 miles per hour, and my daily speed was more than 9,000, almost 10,000. I used my hard work to win the recognition of my readers. I wanted everyone to support the original version, everyone to subscribe, everyone to give me monthly votes, and everyone to like my book, but that was impossible. No one could do it. Every book had its likes and dislikes. I couldn't write a book that would suit everyone's tastes. So, I could only apologize to some readers. Take it as Dark Mountain begging you. I'm just trying to earn a living. If you don't like it, don't read it. Don't spend money to vote for me either. Thank you. I also implore the brothers and sisters of Proud Heaven to support Dark Mountain. If you have monthly votes, please vote for Dark Mountain. Dark Mountain would continue working hard. Chapter 133. Second update. Thank you for your consolation. Thank you for your monthly votes, comments, recommendations, and subscriptions. Dark Mountain will continue to write the third update. Thank you very much. Bang. The sword lights clashed, shaking the mountains and the earth. 1 man and 1 beast, both retreated several feet before they could stabilize themselves. A 10 feet wide and several feet deep chasm had already appeared between the 2 of them. It was a terrifying chasm that connected the 2 of them. And the King Kong demonic apes, who were trying to swarm them, were sent flying backwards while vomiting blood. Bang! There was almost no interval between the 2 explosions, and both Chen Hao and the King Kong demonic ape king exploded at the same time. The figures of man and beast approached each other at lightning speed. Bang! 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 The King Kong demonic ape bared its fangs, its expression ferocious and wild. The sword in its hand swung wildly, as if it had the power to sweep through the world. It swung out without any scruples, and the sword lights, which were condensed with terrifying demonic power, wreaked havoc and dominated the world. Chen Hao, on the other hand, seemed to be in the middle of a storm. He was completely enveloped by the sword lights, but the golden sword in his hand danced and formed a golden light shield. He did not retreat in the slightest, and faced the King Kong demonic ape head-on. In a short moment, 1 man and 1 beast were engaged in close combat. The terrifying sword chi wreaked havoc, and the minions who could not dodge in time were directly cut into several pieces. Flesh and blood splattered everywhere. Chen Hao had never fought to his heart's content. Not only was the King Kong demonic ape's strength terrifying, its speed also shocked Chen Hao. Its huge body, in close combat, was not restricted by Chen Hao's agility at all. This made Chen Hao feel immense pressure, and his blood and qi churned. But the more it was like this, the more Chen Hao's blood boiled, and his fighting spirit surged. Chen Hao had a kind of enlightenment. As long as he could defeat this evil beast, his strength would rise to another level. The figures of one man and one beast, in the midst of the terrifying sword Qi, rose and fell one after another. In a short while, the surrounding 100 feet was filled with devastation and ravines. In the sky, even Dongfang Ting, with her outstanding cultivation, held her breath as her cold eyes widened. She could clearly determine that the King Kong demonic ape king had an absolute advantage in terms of strength and speed, but under such enormous pressure, Chen Hao was actually not at a disadvantage at all. Blood was clearly flowing from the corner of his mouth, but each strike was fiercer than the last. His entire body and mind seemed to have completely merged into the battle. He was fearless of death, and the more he fought, the braver he became. 15 minutes. 30 minutes. 3/4 of an hour. 1 hour. The man and the beast fought for an entire hour. Both of their bodies were covered with crisscrossing wounds, and their bodies were bathed in blood. But there was still no clear victor. This monstrous beast's monstrous power is very vigorous, and its physical strength is very long. The aura around its body has already reached the level where all rivers flow into the sea. If this continues, the one who will be defeated will likely be Chen Hao. Dongfang Ting slightly frowned and thought to herself, however, this Chen Hao's battle power is indeed extraordinary. He is clearly only a rank 5 martial emperor, but his control over his origin power has reached the subtle realm, and his power is even more astonishing. This is truly strange. With the tempering of this battle, he should be able to break through to rank 6, right? Dongfang Ting pondered as she sensed Chen Hao's aura. Even she had a strange feeling toward Chen Hao. Especially the might of Chen Hao's origin power, she felt very strange. She had also carefully sensed Chen Hao's origin power. Indeed, it had fused with a trace of the 5 elements' origin power. Other than that, she did not feel anything special about it. However, according to the density of his origin power, it should not possess such enormous might. Yet, Chen Hao's strength just so happened to surpass his cultivation by several levels. However, what shocked Dongfang Ting even more was yet to come. As time passed, Dongfang Ting originally thought that Chen Hao would be the first to lose due to exhaustion. However, she did not expect that Chen Hao would become more and more courageous as the battle went on. Gradually, the King Kong demonic ape king's attacks could no longer injure him. However, Dongfang Ting suddenly realized that the crisscrossing sword wounds on Chen Hao's body had actually begun to decrease. What was going on? Could it be that Chen Hao's physical body had already recovered to such an astonishing degree? Previously, Dongfang Ting did not pay attention to the number of wounds on Chen Hao's body, but now, does he possess the undying bloodline? Dongfang Ting murmured. TSK. The King Kong demonic ape king's body was riddled with wounds and was already showing signs of exhaustion. Its scarlet eyes felt the threat of death under Chen Hao's sword light, which was becoming more and more courageous as it fought, and revealed a trace of fear. Its intelligence was not inferior to that of a human's, so it did not dare to continue fighting. It suddenly let out a sharp cry and issued an order. At the same time, it launched a strong attack, forcing Chen Hao to retreat a few steps, and then turn to flee. And those underlings who had received the order immediately began to charge from 100 feet away. Want to run? Go to hell! Chen Hao shouted loudly. The golden sword in his hand made a loud hum, and an incomparably sharp sword essence soared into the sky. He became one with the sword, and his speed suddenly increased by several times. He flew to the top of the King Kong demonic ape king, and swung his sword in reverse. This sword seemed to tear the void apart. It was like a divine brush and a heavenly general. It was so wonderful that it was like lightning. Under the chilling sword essence, the King Kong demonic ape king's hair stood on end. It cried out in horror and swung its sword to meet the attack, but, boom! With a loud explosion, its protective demonic aura was directly cut open. Accompanied by the muffled sound of flesh being cut, the King Kong demonic ape king's huge head flew off from its body like a rubber ball. Some of the Vajra demon apes that were charging over immediately screamed in horror, and then they abruptly stopped, rolling and crawling in all directions to escape. Chen Hao stood proudly and did not chase after them. After all the demonic beasts had fled without a trace, he let out a long sigh of relief. His mind relaxed, and the feeling of soreness and exhaustion spread all over his body. Chen Hao was startled, and he hurriedly gathered his strength again, not daring to completely relax. The Cloud Mountain range was full of danger and demonic beasts roamed freely. Although Chen Hao knew that the super expert Dongfang Ting might have noticed his situation, Chen Hao did not want to receive any help at this time. Everything depended on himself. Only in this way could he continue to break through his limits. Forcing himself to stay alert, Chen Hao came to the side of the King Kong demonic ape king's corpse, cut off its left hand with a sword, and picked up a bracelet made of 12 storage rings. Then he picked up the spiritual weapon-grade sword. I don't know how many cultivators this demonic beast has killed. Just one spirit weapon is already worth a lot. These 12 storage rings are obviously of a higher grade than the 3 that I bought. There must be something good in them, right? Chen Hao thought to himself, but at this moment, he was too tired to check. He directly put them into his own storage ring, and then dug out the demonic beast core from the King Kong demonic ape king's body. The strong and terrifying demonic beast aura was hundreds or thousands of times stronger than any demonic beast core Chen Hao had obtained before. Then, Chen Hao also plundered all the dead King Kong demonic apes around him, and then his figure flashed, and he quickly fled into the mountains. Demonic beasts that lived in groups must have caves. Since Chen Hao killed the King Kong demonic ape king, of course, he would take over the nest and cultivate in its cave. For a short period of time, it was the safest place. Moreover, the sky was gradually darkening, and it was time for demonic beasts to roam freely. Chen Hao did not have the strength to continue fighting. Chen Hao only had a perception of about 100 meters, so he could only capture the traces. After more than 10 minutes, he heard the sound of flowing water and came to the side of a small stream that seemed to meander down from the top of the mountain. The stream water was clear, and there were some strange flowers and plants growing on both sides of the stream. There were many traces left by the King Kong demonic apes. Following the stream, when he was about to reach the top of the mountain, the terrain suddenly became much smoother. A small lake with a radius of 10 feet appeared in Chen Hao's eyes. The rocks around the lake were smooth and clean, obviously because the demonic apes often appeared. Beside the lake, there was a huge stone door. The workmanship was rough. This is the cave of the King Kong demonic apes, right? Sure enough, demonic beasts are second only to humans. They more or less have the aura of humans. Chen Hao thought to himself. Even at this moment, he did not dare to be careless. His perception spread out, and he approached the cave entrance step by step. The King Kong demonic ape was dead, so the other King Kong demonic apes naturally did not dare to return to the cave. But there might be a King Kong demonic ape guarding the cave. Rumble. Summoning his essence energy, Chen Hao pushed open the stone door that didn't have any restrictions. What Chen Hao didn't expect was that the moment the stone door was opened, a dazzling and blurry light flashed out. Inside the enormous cave, the walls and ceiling of the cave were actually covered with colorful night crystals, causing the entire cave to be as bright as day, brightly lit. It was deep and serene, and one could not see the end of it. There were traces of artificial excavation, but more of the aura was natural. The main frame was obviously a natural karst cave. What a dense heaven and earthling chi. These demonic beasts really know how to choose a place. Chen Hao sensed the aura in the cave and said. His slightly nervous heart also relaxed. There was no aura of life in the 100-meter radius of the cave. Chen Hao quickened his pace and walked along the main cave. Small caves appeared on both sides, and from the rough stone bed and other things placed inside, it should be the King Kong demonic ape's bedroom. After walking for a few hundred meters, he finally arrived at the deepest part of the cave. The rough stone door sealed the space, making Chen Hao clear that this was the King Kong demonic ape's territory. The moment he pushed open the stone door, even Chen Hao was so shocked that his mouth opened wide. The blurry seven-colored light filled the entire space. The cave had a radius of a few hundred meters, and the ceiling and walls were actually made of colorful natural night crystals. What made Xianxia even more surprised was that in the center, there was a natural pool that was around 6 meters wide. It was incomparably clear, and the heaven and earth Ling Qi was also several times denser. Heavenly paradise? Xianxia muttered to himself in shock. That's right. The King Kong demonic ape being able to advance to the 7th level of martial ancestor realm is related to this cave. Fortunately, the King Kong demonic ape only has a lifespan of 100 years. Otherwise, you wouldn't have been able to kill it. A graceful figure strangely appeared beside Xianxia. Her gaze was also sizing up this natural cave, and she said indifferently. After she finished speaking, she looked at Xianxia's slightly surprised and frowning expression. Dongfang Ting smiled slightly and said, "Don't worry and cultivate here. Whether or not you can obtain the right to participate in the 100 Empire rankings will depend on what realm you can advance to in 3 months. If there are no accidents, you will face 3 martial ancestor realm experts, as well as several powerful geniuses. With your current strength, you only have a 10% chance. P.S. Brothers and sisters who still have monthly votes, please vote for Dark Mountain. Thank you very much." Chapter 134. Third update. It will soon be a new week. I implore everyone to vote for Dark Mountain with your recommendation votes and monthly votes. Dark Mountain will do its best. Also, thank you to all the friends who voted, tipped, subscribed, and comforted Dark Mountain. Thank you. Please rest assured. Dark Mountain will not affect our outyen because of a single person. I will do my best to write it well and quickly. 10% chance. Xianxia stared at Dongfang Ting. He seemed to be muttering to himself, but also seemed to be questioning her. And this is only based on the genius disciples who entered the Demon Cloud Mountain range this time. Within a circumference of 1,000 miles, there is 1 rank 1 martial ancestor, 2 half-step martial ancestor, several rank 9 martial emperors, 1 rank 7 martial emperor and 1 rank 8 martial emperor. Every single one of them is a challenge to you. Although this small-scale blessed land is nothing much, it is an exceptionally good place to cultivate in the Cloud Mist Mountain range. Well then, I will leave behind a restriction at the entrance of the cave for you to break through on your own. You can cultivate in this pond. This is the foundation of the blessed land. Amen. Thank you, Senior. Xianxia's eyes immediately became clear. Once again, they shone with a confident and firm radiance as he clasped his fist and spoke in a deep voice. Dongfang Ting lightly smiled. In Xianxia's eyes, Dongfang Ting's expression suddenly froze. When the smiling figure slowly faded and disappeared, only then did Xianxia know that Dongfang Ting had already left. Her cultivation is clearly much stronger than Yu's. Has she already surpassed the realm of cultivators? Only at this moment did Xianxia truly feel how powerful Dongfang Ting was. She came without a shadow and left without a trace. Even with Xianxia's sharp perception, he did not detect her in the slightest. If such a person wanted to kill him, he probably wouldn't even know how he died. Taking a deep breath, Xianxia took off his blood-stained and tattered clothes. Although his body was covered in bloodstains, there were no more wounds. Xianxia revealed a confident smile. In Xia Yu's words, he had the undying bloodline. If an ordinary person wanted to kill him, they would have to cut off his head. Otherwise, even if his 5 viscera and 6 bowels were shattered, he would still be able to recover. If it was an expert, it would be a different story if he directly used his energy to erase their life force. Slowly walking to the side of the clear pool, Xianxia gently raised his palm, and a stream of water sprayed onto his body. The blood stains on his body were quickly washed away, revealing his jade-like skin that was even more delicate than that of ordinary women. His streamlined muscles were filled with power. 3 years. It has been 3 years since I awakened in the Shao clan, and I can finally be considered to have the body of an adult. Xianxia murmured and slowly floated off the ground. He sat cross-legged in the air and nimbly fell into the clear pool of water. At the same time, 10 8th-grade spirit pills floated into his mouth. The cool pool water was filled with majestic spiritual qi of heaven and earth. The moment Chen Hao sank into it, the spiritual qi immediately began to flow into Chen Hao's body through his pores, who had almost exhausted his energy. The majestic energy contained in the spirit pills also spread out in his dantian. Chen Hao instantly activated the mental cultivation method of the secret to long life and immersed himself in cultivation. Dong Fong Ting, who was setting up a restriction at the entrance of the cave, suddenly frowned slightly and immediately cut off the connection with the cave. After hurriedly setting up the restriction, she suddenly disappeared into the void. The Jinyuan Kingdom. 2 months after Chen Hao entered the Cloud Mountain Range. At the border of the Demon Cloud Mountain Range, there was a huge and majestic city covering a radius of hundreds of miles. The thick and tall city walls were at least 10 feet high. The city was bustling with people coming and going. No one would have expected that 3 years ago, this place was just a small county. But now, it was not the slightest bit inferior to a provincial city. This was the former Yunzhou County. At the core of this huge city, next to the city lord's mansion, there was a vast and magnificent palace complex. It was even bigger and more imposing than the city lord's mansion. Above the 10-meter-tall gate, there was a huge plaque with 2 large golden words on it. The words were majestic, vast, and contained the aura of a king that could swallow mountains and rivers, Shao Clan. The inscription was written by Zhao Xingyu, the current emperor of the Jinyuan Kingdom. Let's go! On the martial arts field in the huge manor, 4 young figures exuding powerful auras stood side by side. The surroundings were full of Shao family disciples, all looking at the 4 of them enviously. The one who spoke was the Shao family patriarch, Shao Ding. Compared to 3 years ago, Shao Ding's aura was obviously many times stronger. Sister Ling, Brother Ji Shan, Brother Ji Fei, Sister Ji Yen, dear best, a cute and beautiful little girl, who was about 10 years old and looked like a fairy, shouted loudly at the 3 of them. On the little girl's smooth and slender neck was a jade pendant that shone with a faint purple light. The jade pendant's carving was very exquisite. If one looked carefully, they would discover that the carving on the jade pendant was a beautiful and cute little girl, exactly the same as the little girl. This little girl was none other than Qin Hao's younger sister, Qin Yan. The current Xiao Yan was already 10 years old. This jade pendant was something that Qin Hao asked Yunfian to bring back. At that time, when Yunfian saw Qin Yan, she was extremely shocked. Chen Hao, who had not returned for 3 years, was actually able to carve Qin Yan's current appearance. It was simply inconceivable. When the Shao family saw it, they were also shocked. Only Chen Hao's seemingly ordinary father revealed a gratified smile and drank by himself for several days. In the dead of night, tears would flow from his eyes. At that moment, Xiao Yan was nestled beside a charming and gentle woman with a graceful figure. This woman was Xiao Mei. In 3 years, Xiao Mei's appearance had not changed much, but her aura had become a lot stronger. She had broken through to a level that she thought she would never have any hope of reaching in her lifetime, a 9th-grade martial emperor. She had a faint feeling that she would soon reach the martial emperor level. Xiao Mei knew that this was all thanks to Chen Hao. On the other side of Xiao Mei was Qin Nan, Chen Hao's younger brother. Upon closer inspection, one would discover that Qin Yan and Qin Nan actually had the aura of a martial artist. They had passed the Xiao family's test before they were 10 years old, and after cultivating for half a year, they had become martial artists. These 2 were monstrous existences. Beside Qin Nan was Buttface, who had an honest look on his face. In 3 years, Buttface's aptitude had not been good. However, the Xiao family had taken good care of him. He had also cultivated very hard. At that moment, compared to Xiao Jishan and the others, he was still very weak. However, among his peers in the Xiao family, he was already a top powerhouse. Next year, there was hope that he would become the object of admiration like Xiao Jishan and the others. Don't worry. If I don't work hard and let you 2 surpass me, it would be too embarrassing. Xiao Jishan, who had a rough appearance, exuded a fierce aura as he laughed. At that moment, this guy had obviously reached the level of a martial emperor, and he was not a low-level one. Similarly, Xiao Jifei, who was beside Xiao Jishan, had an aura that was not weak at all. However, the most powerful was Xiao Jian, who had a faint melancholy aura. At that moment, Xiao Jian had grown into a slender and elegant beauty. The naivety of the past could no longer be felt from her. Anyone who saw her for the first time would feel a faint melancholy. The incident with Xiao Jihan had caused her to remain silent for half a year. Later, she had thrown herself into cultivating crazily, and the advantages of the longevity secret had become more and more obvious. Now, she had reached the level of a 9th-grade martial emperor. The one with the weakest aura was a very cute and beautiful girl with bright eyes. This girl was Xiao Ling. Her aura could not be said to be the weakest, but it was impossible to sense any fluctuation of origin energy. Just like her grandfather, the Cloud State City's city lord Li Ran. Her intent talent had awakened half a year after Chenhao's departure, and it displayed terrifying potential. Abandon martial arts and follow intent. In a short 2.5 years, she had reached the level of a 6th-grade intent emperor, and her battle strength was not inferior to Xiao Jian's. The 4 of them were going to the Lansong province to participate in the Royal New Show Hall's selections. The Mo clan and Helian clan, who had also received the protection of the royal family, were far inferior to the Xiao clan. The Xiao clan's fortunes seemed to have changed completely because of Chen Hao. Especially the younger generation of disciples, each of them displayed their abilities and improved at lightning speed. 2 months ago, the emperor had suddenly bestowed a plaque and heavily rewarded them. Yunfian had also brought a large number of high-grade pills. The Xiao clan was unparalleled in the entire Zhenyuan kingdom. They were directly behind the major clans in the capital. Everyone knew that all of this was brought about by Chen Hao. Xuanwu Empire's new show hall. A streak of light streaked across the sky as fast as lightning, bringing with it a strong stench of blood and an extremely powerful aura. It landed at the entrance of the new show hall's testing hall. Li Yifeng. When the old steward in the hall saw the young man rushing over, he immediately revealed a surprised expression and called out, "Not bad, not bad. You've also advanced to the martial ancestor realm." The old man's next sentence caused the proud Li Yifeng's expression to change. Also, Vice Hall Master, could it be that Yang Fan is? He came 3 days ago. Advanced to the martial ancestor realm? Yes, fuck. 50,000 pills. Li Feng cried out miserably. He did not even bother with the level test and immediately turned into a streak of light, disappearing from the testing hall. There were still 10 days and 3 months left. He had a narrow escape from death in the depths of the Cloud Mountain, madly hunting and cultivating, and finally advanced to the martial ancestor realm. He originally thought that he would be able to surpass Yang Fan, but he did not expect that Yang Fan had also advanced to the martial ancestor realm, and 3 days earlier than him. He lost the bet again. 5 days later, 3 figures returned and landed in Deqian Kingdom's courtyard. The king of Deqian Kingdom, the new show hall's hall master, and many other experts who had come to watch the competition immediately burst out in cheers. Yi Mingho had used the 9-rank monarch pill and madly trained to successfully break through to rank 9 martial emperor. 3 days before the start of the rookie rankings competition, cheers rang out from the Star Luo Kingdom's side courtyard, mixed with the sound of a cockerel's laughter. On the last day before the start of the competition, in Zhenyuan Kingdom's courtyard, the new show hall's hall master Zhao Xingchen, 2 vice hall masters, Huang Qi, Yunfian, and a dignified old man who was emitting a powerful aura was sitting on the main seat. This person was the king of Zhenyuan Kingdom, Zhao Xingyu. He was the elder brother of the new show hall's hall master, Zhao Xingchen. Beside Zhao Xingyu sat the master that Qin Hao had only met once, Fang Yuan. Other than these people, there were also several old men with powerful auras. They were the clan masters and elders of Zhenyuan Kingdom's Dongfang family and Baili family. Other than these important people, in the various rooms of the courtyard, there were also some top experts and important people of the kingdom. It's the last day, why aren't they back yet? King Zhao Xingyu frowned and said, Zhao clan master, don't worry. With Xiao Ting here, nothing can happen to the 3 of them. I think they should be back soon. Dongfang family's clan master said proudly. He did not address Zhao Xingyu as king, but as the cultivation world addressed him, Zhao clan master. This was also the rule. They're back. Right at this moment, Fang Yuan's eyes shone. With his strong perception, he immediately caught the fluctuation in the air. P.S. A new week is coming soon. Looking for monthly votes, looking for recommendations. Thank you. Chapter 135. This is the first update. Are there still monthly votes and recommendation votes? The monthly votes are about to be caught up again, but the gap between us is growing larger and larger. Everyone, please vote for Dark Mountain. In the new week, I also ask my brothers and sisters to vote for me. Thank you. Dark Mountain, continue to write. Several peak characters of the Zhenyuan kingdom immediately walked out of the discussion hall. 4 figures had already landed in the courtyard. We pay our respects to Daoist Dongfang Ting. When King Zhao Xingyu and the other peak characters saw the 4 people, they all clasped their fists and bowed to Dongfang Ting with respectful expressions. Even the Dongfang family's family head was no exception. Merely, Chen Hao was slightly surprised by the way they addressed him. Dongfang Ting waved her hand with an indifferent expression. How's your progress? Zhao Xingchen asked impatiently. The crowd's gazes were also flickering with light. They were inspecting the auras of Chen Hao and the other 2. I was fortunate enough to advance to rank 9 Martial Emperor. Dongfang Jian said with a deep voice. As he spoke, he emitted his own origin energy fluctuations. This caused the crowd, especially those who knew Dongfang Jian, to feel extremely surprised. Not only were they surprised that Dongfang Jian had advanced from rank 8 Martial Emperor to rank 9 Martial Emperor in a short 3 months, they were also surprised by Dongfang Jian's expression and tone. In the past, regardless of who Dongfang Jian faced, he would always carry a trace of confidence and arrogance from his bones. Yet now, he had a calm expression. It was as if he was unmoved by favor or disgrace. Not bad. Zhao Xingchen praised. As for a 50-year-old old man from the Dongfang family, he had a complacent and proud expression on his face. With a trace of ridicule, he looked at Dongfang Jun. This old man was Dongfang Jian's father. Evidently, he still did not know that the conflict between Dongfang Jian and Dongfang Jun had already been resolved. Dongfang Jun had even changed his way of addressing him as Brother Cheap. Dongfang Jun saw Dongfang Jian's father's expression and curled his lips. He released his own aura and said, I have roughly advanced to peak rank 7 Martial Emperor. As for my battle power, it should be about the same as Brother Cheap, Brother Jian? Dongfang Jian's father was slightly stunned by Dongfang Jun's address. Chen Hao, what about you? I am the same as Dongfang Jian, peak rank 7 Martial Emperor. Chen Hao smiled, then looked at Fang Yuan who was staring at him with shining eyes, bowing and saying, Greetings to Master. Fang Yuan, this master with an undeserved reputation, felt a little awkward when Chen Hao called him master. He quickly helped Chen Hao up and said, No need to be so polite, very good, very good. Master really did not expect you to advance so quickly. The commotion in the courtyard caused all the middle-aged and old men with powerful auras to walk out one after another. Most of their gazes were fixed on Chen Hao. Chen Hao was the only one they didn't recognize. At the same time, Chen Hao's battle prowess was clear from the information they had obtained. They all discussed in low voices. Junior brother. Yunfian ignored the presence of many important people. After Zhao Xingchen introduced Zhao Xingyu, Dongfang clan, Bai Li clan and other important people to Chen Hao and walked towards the discussion hall, she quickly walked to Chen Hao's side and affectionately held onto Chen Hao's arm, saying in a low voice, Senior sister has completed the task you gave me. Your Xiao clan is really amazing. Chen Hao was slightly surprised, turning his head to look at Yunfian. What's so amazing about it? If nothing goes wrong, this year's Royal New Show Hall, Lansong Province will have 4 spots for your Xiao clan. Next year, there will still be 4 spots, and after a few more years, there might be even more spots. Cough cough, are you serious? Chen Hao's face shone with excitement and doubt. Although Chen Hao had not returned for 3 years, he could still predict Shao clan's current situation. How could there be 4 spots this year? If there was only one, he would not be surprised. It must be Shao Jiyan who has spiritual roots and cultivates the secret to longevity. But where did the other 4 come from? Of course it's true. 2 beautiful little girls, one more powerful than the other. One is called Li Shaoling. When senior sister went, she kept pestering senior sister, asking about your situation. This little girl is amazing. She's only 16 years old, but she's already a 6th stage martial emperor. Her battle prowess is quite strong. The other one is called Shao Jiyan, a 9th stage martial emperor. Other than the 2 of them, there are also Shao Jishan and Shao Jifei who are both martial emperors. Not bad. I didn't expect Shao Ling heir to have awakened. Jishan and Jifei are also not bad. Chen Hao's face revealed a gratified smile, as if he was imagining Shao Ling heir pestering Yunfian like a sparrow, asking all sorts of questions. Yunfian pulled Chen Hao to slow down her pace, her charming face shining with a hint of pride. Let me tell you another piece of good news. Your younger brother and sister have both started cultivating. In half a year, they became 4th stage martial students one after another. In a few years, it's very likely that they'll be as abnormal as you. Really? Chen Hao's eyes widened. Shao Nan and Shao Yan aren't even 10 years old. Look at how excited you are, hee. That's right, junior brother, senior sister is very curious. How can the jade pendant you carved be the same as Shao Yan's? Have you seen Shao Yan before? My carving skill is to capture the veins and life traces of all things in the world. I'm just a beginner now, so I can't capture it too deeply. Shao Yan is my sister, so of course I can understand it more deeply. How mysterious! Yunfian said with a little surprise. After a slight pause, she said, "This is all the information about the nameless old man that manager Shu Ye collected for you. A lot of it is just legends, and no one knows whether it's true or not. Alright, let's go in first. If senior sister keeps pulling you, I'm afraid she'll have something to say." The Empire's new show hall has already sent out news. The 5 Palace Hall's chief disciple, Ni Jian Pain, has become a rank 2 martial ancestor. The White Tiger Hall's chief disciple, Yang Fan, has become a rank 1 martial ancestor over 10 days ago. The Azure Dragon Hall's chief disciple, Li Yifeng, has also become a martial ancestor. If nothing unexpected happens, these 3 people will become seeded contestants. As for the other 2 seeded contestants, we still don't know who they will be. After Qin Hao and Yunfian sat down, the new show hall's hall master Zhao Xingchen frowned and said, "It's possible that Great Qian Kingdom's Yi Mingho is already a peak rank 9 martial emperor. Originally, when he was only a rank 7 martial emperor, no one was able to force him to reveal his true strength in the qualifiers. He can only be described as unfathomable. The other 3 people who might become seeded contestants are disciples from the other 3 groups. The strongest disciples from the 8-nation qualifiers are all peak rank 9 martial emperors. Furthermore, their battle power is very strong and they easily qualified." After Zhao Xingchen spoke till this point, he looked to Dongfang Ting and said, "Daoist Ting, you should know the battle power of these 3 people the best. There is not much time left. We must immediately go and report the information regarding the competition." After Dongfang Ting frowned slightly, she looked to Qin Hao. However, she still shook her head and said, "As for seeded contestants, we can forget about obtaining them. Among the 3 of them, Chen Hao's battle power is the strongest. He is able to easily take care of low-rank 7 martial ancestor realm monstrous beasts. As for mid-rank 7 martial ancestor realm monstrous beasts, he is also able to kill them. However, if he were to encounter a super genius disciple of the martial ancestor realm, it would be impossible for him to determine his strength before he actually fought against them. Furthermore, he is only a rank 7 martial emperor. It is not enough for him to convince the masses. Although the new talent ranking is also divided into 5 groups, the top 2 from each group will be determined. As long as one's strength is strong, it doesn't matter if one is a seeded contestant or not. As long as one is able to enter the top 10, there is hope. Dongfang Ting spoke with an encouraging tone. In a short 3 months, Chen Hao's performance in the Cloud Mist Mountain range was absolutely astonishing. It was not something that Dongfang Jian and Dongfang Jun could compare with. However, it remained that time was too short. No matter how much of a genius one might be, one still needed time to grow. If Chen Hao was given another year, or even half a year, Dongfang Ting was certain that Chen Hao would be able to enter the top 5 of the new talent ranking and obtain the qualifications to participate in the 100 Empire ranking. However, she was unable to be certain right now. Very well. Then we can only do this. I hope that our luck is not too bad. I'll go and report to them first. Huangqi, tell them about the process and rules of the new talent ranking competition. Also, tell them about their opponents. After that, go into closed-door training to recuperate and adjust yourself to your best condition. 2 hours later, Chen Hao returned to his room. To Yunfian's astonishment, this time around, Chen Hao actually took the initiative to pull her along. It seemed that he had some questions to ask her. Another 2 hours later, Yunfian was pushed out by Chen Hao in an extremely depressed manner. Burning the bridge after crossing the river, this was simply unambiguous. During the 2 hours, Chen Hao asked about Yunfian's situation in the Xiao family, regardless of whether it was big or small. This included the changes in the Xiao family, the lineup of the Xiao family, the situation of her parents, the current stage of Old Master Xiao and Xiao Ding, the situation of Xiao Mei, Buttface, and the others. Almost everything that Yunfian knew was explained. When there was nothing left to say, Chen Hao used the excuse of starting cultivation to push Yunfian, who wanted to talk about the Chamber of Commerce, out of the room. Phew! Chen Hao's face was brimming with a kind of joy that had never appeared before. He sat down cross-legged and let out a long sigh. In 3 years, the changes in the Xiao family, especially 2 months ago, after he had displayed his astonishing talent and combat strength and obtained the qualifications to participate in the new talent ranking, everything that the Zhenyuan kingdom had done for the Xiao family made him very satisfied. He believed that as long as he continued to strengthen himself, it would not be long before the Xiao family became a true top family in the Zhenyuan kingdom. It was even possible for the Xiao family to join the ranks of the Zhao family, the Dongfang family, and the Bailey family. Right now, the only thing they lacked was a foundation. Soon, after calming down his excited state of mind, Chen Hao recalled the powerful opponents that Huangqi had analyzed earlier. The top 10 people, the 5 palace chiefs of the new show hall, were naturally no exception. Among them, the 3 martial ancestor realm experts posed the greatest threat to Chen Hao. That was because they would definitely be the 3 seeded contestants. As for the other 2 rank 9 martial emperors, if not for the fact that they were worried about the 32 kingdoms and the various provinces, they would also have the qualifications to become seeded contestants. However, they could not possibly give all 5 seeded contestants to the Empire's new show hall. Thus, the other 2 seeded contestants were very likely to be Yimingho and several other rank 9 martial emperors who had displayed valiant combat strength. On the surface, there were a total of 12 people who posed the greatest threat to Chen Hao. Among the 12 people, there was also the damned eunuch Yin Fenghan who had also advanced to rank 9 martial emperor. Buzz. After taking a deep breath, a large sword as cold as the moon appeared before Chen Hao. It was vibrating at a high frequency and emitting buzzing sounds. This large sword was also a spirit artifact. It was obtained from the 12 storage rings of the Diamond Demonic Ape King. The harvest from the 12 storage rings shocked even Chen Hao. There were actually 6 spirit artifact level treasured swords, countless level 5 and level 6 monstrous beast cores, level 8 medicinal pellets, and several sets of secret techniques. It was very clear that the owners of these storage rings were at least the same as Chen Hao and the others. They were disciples who had obtained the qualifications to be on the new talent rankings several years ago. However, they had died in the Cloud Mist Mountain range and did not even have the time to return the secret techniques that they had obtained. P.S. Requesting monthly votes and recommendation votes. Many thanks. Chapter 136. Second update. I've forgotten that it's my birthday soon. Thank you all for your red envelopes. Thank you Little Wolf for the 50,000 red flutters. Thank you asterisk 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 for the 25 evaluation tickets, as well as the rewards, monthly tickets, urging me to update, brothers and sisters. Thank you. Also, it's my birthday once in a blue moon. Brothers and sisters, can you give me your monthly tickets and recommendation tickets as gifts? Please. Swoosh swoosh swoosh. Chen Hao's consciousness entered the treasured sword and sensed the runes within it. With a light flick of his wrist, 9 crescent moon-shaped sword rays poured out. Condense! Chen Hao lightly shouted. Under the mental control of the subtle realm, the runes within the treasured sword were immediately activated. The 9 crescent moons miraculously condensed together, forming a full moon. The entire training room was dyed with a layer of cold moonlight. Moonlight sword. Under the moonlight, it has countless transformations. It can be soft or hard and has boundless power. It's very suitable for Xiaowu. I wonder which unlucky bastard left it behind. The runes within the sword are indeed profound. I'll use it to participate in the new talent competition. I'll have avenged that unlucky bastard. I believe that no one would be so thick-skinned as to ask for it back from me. Chen Hao stared at the seemingly real full moon before him. He knew in his heart that as long as he willed it, this gentle and cold moonlight would become the most berserk attack. It was likely that even this training room would not be able to withstand it. With a light smile on his face, the treasured sword let out the sound. Once again, the moonlight and the treasured sword disappeared. As for Chen Hao, he was immersed in a subtle state of meditation. After 3 months of bitter training, only Chen Hao himself knew what level his battle strength had reached. Rank 7 Martial Emperor. Although it seemed that he had only increased by 2 ranks, Chen Hao believed that if he were to encounter the original rank 8 Martial Emperor, Yin Fenghan, again, he would be able to easily kill him without using the mysterious yellow ring. Because Chen Hao did not use the might of fused energy at all in his later training. He only used origin power, pure origin power. The next day, early morning. The sky was clear and there were no clouds for thousands of miles. A fiery red sun slowly rose from the east. The Imperial Palace, which symbolized the highest power and authority of the Xuanwu Empire, emitted thousands of rays of light under the sun. A mysterious and dense aura enveloped the palace. The majestic and melodious sound of the bell came from the depths of the palace. The magnificent gate of the Imperial Palace, which was 30 meters tall and 30 meters wide, slowly opened under the push of 2 rows of mighty guards. The numerous big shots who had been waiting outside for a long time all showed traces of nervousness on their faces. They didn't scramble to be the first to enter the Imperial Palace. Instead, they followed the order and entered the Imperial Palace. The rookie ranking competition would be held at the highest level of the Empire's Imperial Palace. Facing one powerful aura after another, Chen Hao's expression was extremely calm on the surface. Only his eyes occasionally flashed with a bright light, allowing others to understand that this extraordinarily handsome youth's mood was also surging. He had strong expectations for the upcoming clash between geniuses. From the discussions of the crowd, Chen Hao could occasionally hear his name being mentioned. Furthermore, he could feel waves of probing energy fluctuations. Evidently, in the rookie competition's preliminaries, he, who had fought against Yin Fenghan with the cultivation of a rank 5 Martial Emperor and alarmed the number 1 expert Mu Qing to appear, was one of the most eye-catching existences among the many genius disciples. Little brother Chen Hao, do your best. When Chen Hao, Dongfang Jun and Dongfang Jian followed Zhao Xingyu and the others into the Imperial Palace's gate, close to 100 old men stood on both sides to welcome them. One of the old men took the initiative to greet Chen Hao with a smile when he passed by him. Thank you, Senior Mu, Chen Hao said with a light smile. At the same time, he clasped his fist and greeted the other old men who nodded and smiled at him. These old men were none other than the old men who had asked Chen Hao to carve. The people who came to welcome them were obviously all big shots of the empire. Contrary to Chen Hao's expectations, The spectator stands in the martial practice field were not large. There were only 3 viewing stands. On the other side, there was a high and mighty platform. The 3 viewing stands could only hold about 10,000 people. However, it was luxurious and grand. In front of the seats, there were long tables that ran through the entire row. At the very front were the contestants from the various kingdoms and provinces. In the middle was the stage. The stage was different from ordinary stages. Instead, it was circular and had a diameter of 3,000 feet. What surprised Chen Hao was that with a cursory glance, he was able to tell that the stage was a special kind of stage. The material was actually suffused with a metallic luster. The surface of the stage was also covered with golden runes. This is the highest standard arena in the empire. There are restrictions condensed by super experts. When you start the competition, the restrictions will be activated, causing the entire arena to be shrouded in a layer of enchantment. The space restrictions inside will also cause the arena to become thousands of feet wide and hundreds of feet tall. Unless it is a battle between martial saints, the stage will not be damaged in the slightest. At the same time, the scene of your battle will be magnified several times by the spirit formation, allowing the audience to see it clearly. Huang Qi slowly explained after seeing the shocked expressions of Chen Hao and the others. In less than a quarter of an hour, with the influx of people, the entire stage of the martial arts practice field was filled. Among them, there were thousands of young men and women dressed in the same uniform. They sat in the last few rows of the stage. These disciples were from the empire's new show hall. The others were like the experts brought by Zhao Xingyu. They were the top figures of the various kingdoms. When everyone had just arrived, dozens of majestic and terrifying auras suddenly came from the entrance of the martial arts practice field. Dong Fangting and Mu Qing were among them. However, with Dong Fangting's status and cultivation, she was only at the edge. There were also a few young experts with powerful auras. Each of them had a condescending and arrogant expression on their faces. Their expressions and auras made even the middle-aged emperor of the Xuanwu Empire who was walking in the middle appear clumsy. It was obvious that these people were from another level. However, they were in a different camp from Dong Fangting. The noisy crowd instantly quietened down. Their gazes were filled with reverence as they stared at the dozens of figures that slowly floated into the air towards the rostrum. In particular, those handsome young men and beautiful women who were about to participate in the competition, as well as the disciples of the Xuanwu Empire's new show hall, were excited. These people were their targets. After the main figures were seated, the first expert of the Xuanwu Empire, the Imperial Guardian, and the Hall Master of the Empire's new show hall, Mu Qing, walked to the front of the rostrum with a solemn expression. After sweeping his gaze across the martial arts practice field, he slowly said, "In this rookie ranking competition, according to the usual practice, our Xuanwu Empire has invited true geniuses from our empire. Each of them stood out from the rookie ranking competition and stepped into the 100 Empire ranking competition. They displayed their amazing talents and became the favored children of the 100 Empire ranking competition selected by the super sections. This is the pride of our Xuanwu Empire. It is also the foundation of our Xuanwu Empire's everlasting prosperity. Now, please allow me to introduce the pride of our Xuanwu Empire to you. The first is Xianxia, who walked out of the Empire's new show hall 18 years ago, Daoist Xian. She is currently an inner disciple of the 6th grade sect, the Imperial Sword faction. In a few years, she will be promoted to a core disciple. Voila, following Mu Qing's words, a young and beautiful woman with an extraordinary temperament, who was sitting close to the emperor of the empire, stood up and cupped her fists towards the martial arts practice field. Her expression was indifferent and aloof. It was as though in her eyes, everyone present was like an ant. No one could enter her eyes. But the more she was like this, the more everyone felt that she was lofty. The martial arts practice field erupted into an uproar and crazy cheers. Especially the disciples of the empire's new show hall, they were extraordinarily excited. Xianxia was a mythical existence in their new show hall. A core disciple of the Imperial Sword faction? That's really powerful. Huang Qi muttered. After he finished speaking, he looked towards Chen Hao and the other two and said, "It's time for you to know about the existence of another level. The disciples on the rostrum are the same as Daoist Dongfang Ting. They all come from another level, an existence that surpasses the empire. In the entire boundless continent, there are tens of thousands of sections. Just like our kingdoms and empires, there are also different levels. They are divided into 9 ranks. Rank 1 is the lowest and rank 9 is the highest. A 6th grade sect is already a rather powerful existence. For this Xianxian to be able to become an inner disciple of the 6th grade sect, the Imperial Sword faction, and have the hope of being promoted to a core disciple, she is already a genius among geniuses. Even more powerful than my aunt." Dongfang Jian asked in surprise. "There's always someone better than you. When you can advance to that level, your horizons will naturally widen. The path of cultivation is endless." Chen Hao, on the other hand, was extremely calm, because he had already learned about the existence of a higher level from Xia Yuyu. Whether Huang Qi knew or not, he wasn't sure. However, charging out of the rookie ranking, advancing to the 100 Empire ranking, and stepping into a sect that surpassed the Empire was not his end. Taking a deep breath, Chen Hao's eyes shone with a sharp glint. It seemed like a simple introduction, but it contained a subtle contrast of power. Among the 33 super-existences, 10 of them came from the Xuanwu Empire's new show hall. The lowest sect was a 4th grade sect. As for the other 23, including Dongfang Ting, they were all 3rd grade, 2nd grade, and even 1st grade sections. Dongfang Ting belonged to the 3rd grade sect, Zhaixing sect, and was the only one in the Jinyuan kingdom. The Great Qian kingdom had 2, the Star Luo kingdom had 2, and most of the other kingdoms had 1, while some kingdoms had none. For this year's rookie ranking competition, they will form the members of the arbitration group. The Emperor of the Xuanwu Empire will be the head of the arbitration group, and I will be the deputy head. You may begin." After Mu Qing finished speaking, she looked at the old man who had been waiting at the edge of the arena. The old man respectfully cupped his fists and bowed. His figure flashed, and he arrived at the edge of the arena near the spectator stands. He said in a low voice, "There are a total of 133 disciples who have qualified for this year's rookie ranking competition. 13 of them have entered the Cloud Mountain range to train and have yet to return. The remaining 120 are exactly the same. I'm sure all of you are clear about the rules of the competition, so I won't repeat them here. The 5 seeded contestants have been determined through the arbitration group and the preliminaries of the rookie ranking competition. The first is the Empire's new show hall's chief disciple, Ni Jianpain, a 2nd grade martial ancestor. The second is the Azure Dragon Hall's chief disciple, Li Feng, a 1st grade martial ancestor. The third is the White Tiger Hall's chief disciple, Yang Fan, a 1st grade martial ancestor. Second update. Dark Mountain will continue writing the 3rd update. Please support me with your monthly votes. Thank you. Chapter 137. 3rd update. Are there any more monthly votes? It's about to reach the climax. Wuxian doesn't dare to guarantee anything, but I will strive for the 4th update tomorrow. If you have the monthly votes, please provoke Wuxian. Let Wuxian be a man for once. Walla, Ni Jianpain, Yang Fan, Li Feng. The area where the disciples of the Empire's new Excellence Hall were located immediately erupted with cheers. Ni Jianpain and Yang Fan's names had only appeared for an instant before they were completely overshadowed by Li Yifeng's name. Especially some of the female disciples, they were screaming and shouting almost crazily. It couldn't be helped. Although Ni Jianpain and Yang Fan possessed astonishing strength, when compared to the handsome and extremely popular Li Yifeng, their popularity in the Empire New Show Hall was greatly inferior. Especially among the female disciples, Li Yifeng was the Prince Charming in the hearts of many female disciples. The old man frowned slightly. His sharp gaze immediately swept toward the region where the disciples of the Empire New Show Hall were. His powerful oppressive might immediately caused the crowd to quieten down. Only then did he continue. 4th, Great Qian Kingdom's Yi Mingho, rank 9 martial emperor. Although they knew it was not good to interrupt, the region of the Great Qian Kingdom that was right next to the Jinyuan Kingdom still burst into a short burst of cheers. Yi Mingho, who was sitting right in front, only a few meters away from Chen Hao and the others, had an arrogant expression on his face. He stood up and clasped his fist toward the grand character of the Great Qian Kingdom. Then, he looked at Chen Hao with a provocative and ruthless gaze. Unfortunately, Chen Hao's expression did not change in the slightest. He simply did not look at him. What's there to be proud of? It's merely a seeded contestant. This idiot really thinks he's in the top 5. Dong Fongjun cursed. He had an even more arrogant and domineering expression as he looked at Yi Mingho with disdain. 5th, Great Victory Kingdom's Tantai Lien, rank 9 in 10th Emperor. The old man announced the name of the final seeded contestant. Hearing that name, Chen Hao's gaze couldn't help but look toward the region that burst into cheers. It wasn't because that person was a woman. Instead, it was because Tantai Lien was one of the experts that posed the greatest threat to Chen Hao. Rank 9 in 10th Emperor. Even if it was an ordinary rank 9 in 10th Emperor, their battle prowess would still be extremely frightening. Moreover, the other party was only a 19-year-old super genius. As expected of a beauty, and Helen cough cough. Dong Fongjun's eyes immediately lit up as he spoke. He originally wanted to say that she was similar to Heli and Wuxi, but he didn't continue speaking halfway. She was indeed a beauty. The identity of intent made Tantai Lien look fragile. In the pink dress, just like her name, she was like a lotus flower that grew out of the mud without being stained. Her skin was whiter than snow, and her features were picturesque. No one would be able to associate such a delicate girl with an expert. However, his threat to Chen Hao was ranked 4th by Huangqi. He was second only to the 3 martial grandmasters and had even surpassed Yi Mingho. The 5 seeded contestants will be divided into groups 1 to 5 according to the order just now. Other participating disciples, please step onto the stage and draw lots. At this moment, the old man announced loudly. At the same time, a referee appeared in the middle of the arena with a huge black lottery box. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. In an instant, figures soared into the air and flew onto the arena. Their expressions were solemn and there was a slight trace of nervousness. Line up and follow the order. If you draw well, bring your lot to the referee's seat to register the 5 groups. The old man reminded. No way. I'm in the first group. Fuck, group 2, phew. Luckily, group 4, after the disciples who drew lots, some were depressed and some rejoiced. Obviously, no one would have thought that the first 3 groups would have 3 martial grandmasters. Moreover, they were the strongest disciples of the empire's new show hall. Who would be willing to meet them? From the words of many disciples, it could be seen that everyone had thought of groups 4 and 5, especially group 5. That was a beauty, a rank 9 in 10th Emperor. Although she was also very strong, it was worth it to be able to exchange blows with such a beauty. Moreover, more importantly, Tantai Xian, this beauty, had a good reputation. In the 8-nation preliminaries, she didn't kill anyone, nor did she heavily injure anyone. She won by lightly injuring her opponent or her opponent admitted defeat. Wah! Group 5, Chen Hao, Brother Cheap, I'm in the 5th group. Ha! Dong Fongjun, who was the first to draw lots, immediately shouted excitedly after seeing the group and number in his hand. Group 4. Dong Fongjian then drew his lot and said. As he spoke, he also walked towards the registration of Group 4. Chen Hao's expression was calm as he casually drew his lot. However, after taking a look, he was slightly stunned. Although he didn't care, wasn't his luck too good? It can't be. When Dong Fongjun and Dong Fongjian saw Chen Hao walking towards Group 1 with his lot, they both felt sorry for Chen Hao. Chen Hao was the strongest out of the 3 and had the most hope. If he was in Group 4 or 5, even if Chen Hao was against Yi Mingho and the beauty, he would have a 30% chance of winning. However, against a rank 2 martial ancestor in Group 1, he simply had no chance of winning. In other words, The first in Group 1 would definitely be Ni Giant Pain. Chen Hao could only fight for second place. This was equivalent to losing half of his chance. The competition has officially begun. Group 1, Empire's New Show Halls Ni Giant Pain and Formless Kingdoms Li Guahao, please enter the stage. The referee's vigorous voice resounded through the entire martial practice grounds. I admit defeat. The disciple called Li Guahao was unexpectedly straightforward. He didn't even enter the stage and spoke loudly. The referee directly announced Ni Giant Pain's victory and invited Group 2's number 1 Yang Fan and number 2 to enter the stage. Number 2 was a rank 9 martial emperor from a province. Although he knew his chances of winning were not high, he still bravely entered the stage. According to his understanding, Yang Fan was originally ranked last among the disciples of the 5 great palaces. Because he was the first to become a martial ancestor, he obtained the qualifications to be a seeded participant. Yang Fan's ordinary appearance and ordinary aura caused him to not feel any fear. However, when he saw Yang Fan enter the stage while holding a sword with one hand, a trace of pity flashed through the eyes of the handsome and imposing Li Yifeng. In the entire Empire's New Show Hall, although Yang Fan was the head disciple of the White Tiger Hall and had displayed valiant strength, he had never used his sword. The only person who truly understood Yang Fan was Li Yifeng. Li Yifeng knew very well that this rank 9 martial emperor would not be able to see the sun tomorrow. The reason was very simple. The group stage and the top 10 ranking were both round-robin matches. The 2 people with the highest points in each group would advance to the top 10. As for the top 10, the top 5 people with the highest points would obtain the qualifications to participate in the 100 Empire ranking. Killing a person meant that only you could obtain that person's points. Compared to the 8 nations' new talent competition, it was even more cruel. And now, Yang Fan had entered the stage while holding a sword. What did this mean? He was going to unsheath his sword. Unsheath his sword must be dyed with blood. Well, senior brother Yang Fan is holding a sword. I've never seen him use a sword before. Senior brother Yang Fan has always been low-key. Even the head disciples of the 5 great palaces have never used a sword. I'm afraid that he's really serious this time around. It's very strange. Isn't senior brother Yang Fan proficient in fists and legs? His sword is clearly not a spirit artifact. Otherwise, how could he enter the stage with it? Who knows? Senior brother Yang Fan definitely has a spirit artifact. He is a disciple of the Empire's top family, the Yang family. Although he is not a direct descendant, the Yang family values him greatly. How could he not have a spirit artifact? Chen Hao's sharp hearing picked up the discussions of the disciples in the Empire's New Show Hall. His eyes were shining as he looked at the ordinary youth who had smiled at him before. From the depths of his heart, he felt that this ordinary youth was definitely not as simple as he appeared to be. There must be a demon behind this abnormality. If he was really that ordinary, how could he become a seeded contestant? Boom. When the 2 of them stepped onto the stage, the edges of the stage started to shine with resplendent rays of light. In an instant, a transparent energy barrier appeared around the entire stage. This caused Chen Hao and the other disciples who had never seen the world to open their eyes wide. Yang Fan and that youth were actually magnified by several times in an instant and appeared clearly before their eyes. Match begin. Bang, bang. Following the order from the referee, that rank 9 martial emperor youth suddenly stomped his feet and his body started to move with lightning speed. The protective energy around his body was also raised to the pinnacle. Facing Yang Fan, who was a martial ancestor realm cultivator, this youth was clearly planning to use a guerrilla tactic. He was planning to launch a fatal attack at an appropriate time. Only by doing so would he have a chance to win. On the other hand, the expressionless Yang Fan slowly narrowed his eyes. The treasured sword that he held in his hand trembled slightly. Then, like a breeze, his body disappeared from the crowd's eyes. Clang! The sound of a treasured sword being unsheathed was heard. In an instant, a chilly radiance blossomed. It was like a resplendent firework. This caused Chen Hao's eyes to suddenly shrink. Slightly shocked, he said, "Amazing." At the same time, the indifferent expressions of the peak experts on the viewing platform also changed slightly. Pooh! A muffled sound was heard at practically the same time. Other than the peak experts on the viewing platform, the martial ancestor realm experts below the viewing platform, and Xianhao, who possessed abnormal talent, no one else was able to clearly see Yang Fan's movements of unsheathing, swinging his sword and sheathing his sword. All they saw was Yang Fan returning to his original position. As for that rank 9 martial emperor, he also stopped running. Disbelief and fear filled his eyes. After being motionless for half a second, a stream of blood spurted out from his throat with a poo sound. A single slash to the throat. The entire martial practice ground was filled with sounds of people sucking in cold air. Yang Fan's expression did not change in the slightest. It was as if what had happened earlier was completely unrelated to him. An ordinary figure, an ordinary face, an ordinary aura. However, at this moment, in the eyes of the crowd, Yang Fan had become incomparably frightening. This was especially true for some of the genius disciples who had drawn Yang Fan's group and wanted to defeat him. At this moment, they immediately suppressed those thoughts. A rank 9 martial emperor was unable to even withstand a single attack from Yang Fan. What sort of battle power was this? Fuck, is it true that only being more handsome than him is a merit? Li Feng cursed gloomily in a low voice. He was extremely jealous of Yang Fan, this tough god who had pretended to be a grandmaster. At the same time, he was also faintly afraid. Originally, he had thought that he would at least have a 40% chance of winning against Yang Fan. However, it would appear that even 30% was a problem. Number 1, Yang Fan wins. 3 points. The spirit formation dispersed. With a calm expression, Yang Fan returned to Li Yifeng's side. "What are you looking at? No matter how much you look, I'm still more handsome than you, fuck. Isn't it only a single move? I only used half a move to end the match." Li Feng said gloomily. As he spoke, he had already stood up. As the number 1 in Group 3, it was time for him to enter the stage. P.S. Third update, requesting monthly votes and recommendation votes. Please vote for Wuxian. Tomorrow we will strive for a breakthrough. Thank you. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Chidian.com to vote for recommendation votes and monthly votes. That you're tuning in to the Wang Lin's Journey YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.